Chapter 963. In a gentle valley in the center of the forest of chaos, short shrubs flowed down, giving off a soft and gentle feeling. There were various kinds of flowers and there were countless birds, deer, and monkeys moving around. In the center, there was a small town made of stones. This small town was covered in moss and there was a layer of thorny flowers on top of the moss. If one looked at it at first glance, it would perfectly blend in with the surrounding environment. This was the Bramble Flower Town. The Bramble Flower Town was a normal town between Battle Banner City and Miracle City. Just like the countless small towns in the Forest of Chaos, the reason the Bramble Flower Town was built was because of the forest market formed by the surrounding tribes. It was convenient for different tribes and races to trade goods and daily necessities. Whether it was the size or population of the small town, there was nothing special about it in the Forest of Chaos. In the last few days, a large matter had happened in the small town. On all four sides of the hill, there were suddenly all sorts of rock flags. Tens of thousands of wolf riders charged down the hill like a black flood into this green world, completely surrounding the small town. It was the army of Battle Banner City. The people of the Bramble Flower Town were scared witless. They wanted to run away in a panic, but Battle Banner City did not give them a chance. The butcher's knife of death fell on the heads of these forest locals and the 5,000 people in the town were all killed. These executioners cut off the heads of the townspeople who suffered this calamity. They used wooden sticks to pierce through the small town's entrance, forming two neat rows. It was like a cruel ceremony or a red carpet welcoming guests. The elite troops of Battle Banner City stood neatly in two rows, wearing black armor and fluttering banners, giving off a heavy and solemn feeling of oppression. Humph, those cowards still haven't come. An orc with a head full of small braids was sitting in the middle of the small town covered in blood. His naked upper body was covered in wounds and totems, with two giant axes releasing a death aura on both sides of his large seat. There was a young orc standing beside him that was as fierce as a cheetah. The two of them looked similar, so they should be father and son. The headless corpses piled up like a mountain behind the two of them. It was simply like they were used to take pictures, being placed in the background. 200 orc warriors holding blades stood in rows on the left and right. Each of their eyes were filled with an ice-cold intent as they stood there like statues, not moving at all. Father, the weak humans definitely don't have the courage to come. Why don't we tell Sir City Lord and use Battle Banner City's army to occupy Miracle City? We have the absolute advantage in strength. It's not that simple, Gray. The old orc shook his head. There are more and more rumors about Miracle City and some of them are very exaggerated. For example, they can use a spatial ability to transport anything from the human countries to the forest. We can't confirm the authenticity of these things, but according to the reports from the scouts, Miracle City has indeed changed a lot and they have many incredible technology in their hands. Elder brother is very interested in this, so compared to occupying Miracle City, controlling them is a better choice. Gray's orc did not ask anything else. This was because an orc came forward and said, "They're already here." Chu Tian and Nangong Yun came to Bramble Flower Town and the two of them slightly knit their brows. They never thought that Battle Banner City would make such a big scene. Not only did they slaughter Bramble Flower Town, they even stationed at least 20,000 elite soldiers here. This scene was very intimidating. Perhaps no one who came to negotiate would be able to maintain a normal state of mind. The strength of Battle Banner City's elite army was already very shocking. Now that they surrounded this place like an iron bucket, even a sparrow would find it hard to fly out. There's only two people. The orcs revealed looks of shock. Battle Banner City sent 20,000 elite soldiers and Miracle Commerce sent 2 people. The odds were 10,000 to 1, it was truly shocking. Chu Tian was wearing the City Lord's robe, so people could see his identity as the City Lord with a single glance. "You're Miracle City's City Lord." The older orc gave a few cold laughs. That fierce expression along with the blood covering the ground and the mountain of headless corpses gave people a shocking sense of deterrence. "I am Battle Banner City's Vice City Lord Cao's younger brother, Kaeldon. This is my son Gray." Chu Tian sat down like he didn't see anything. Nan Gongyun stood behind Chu Tian with his hands behind his back like a javelin. The two of them were surrounded by ferocious orcs, and there were at least 10 true spirit realm experts. Kaeldon was a 7th true spirit layer spirit transformation expert, and his son Gray was clearly a strong orc expert. Under this kind of pressure, the two of them didn't change their expressions at all. Chu Tian said in a somewhat unhappy voice, "This City Lord has come because of City Lord Cao's invitation, but City Lord Cao didn't come and instead sent an assistant. You orcs don't seem to understand etiquette." Roar. The surrounding orcs all let out wild beast-like roars. Kaeldon stopped Gray, who was about to jump out, and said with a snort, "The Miracle City's City Lord has some courage, no wonder those weak gnomes gave the city to you. The Miracle City's City Lord is a straightforward person, and the orcs are also a straightforward race, so there's no need to beat around the bush. I'll just say it directly." Chu Tian changed to a more comfortable position. "I'm all ears. Miracle City's recent performance has been too eye-catching. If we don't stand on the right side, perhaps we'll be destroyed." Kaeldon paused before saying, "Battle Banner City is willing to become Miracle City's friend. As long as our two cities work together as an iron alliance, it will be enough to dispel the greed of most powers, and we can both increase our strength and influence." When Kaeldon said this, it was like he was a sincere partner. It was like the matter of the Battle Banner tribe attacking Miracle City had never happened at all. Chu Tian said in a non-committal voice, "What are the conditions?" "Battle Banner City will send out 100,000 elite orcs who will be stationed in Miracle City. They will guard the city for the City Lord, deterring enemies and maintaining peace." Kaeldon slowly said, "This way, the City Lord will be able to sit on the City Lord's throne without any worries. Of course, in exchange, half of your city's income will be given to Battle Banner City, and Battle Banner City will also send a capable person to Miracle City to be the Vice City Lord, helping the City Lord govern the city. You want to station troops and pay tribute to us, you even want to make us a figurehead?" Nan Gongyun couldn't help glaring at him. "Why is your mouth so smelly? It's like fart, did you just eat shit?" Bold. Gray raised an axe. Chu Tian was not angry and just revealed a smile. "City Lord Cao is truly kind, but Miracle City has a strong army, so there's no need for City Lord Cao and you to worry. Not to mention that Miracle City is a city under the Eternal Forest's protection. I think in the entire Forest of Chaos, there is no one that doesn't give the Eternal Forest face." Kaeldon broke out in laughter. "You humans really like to play tricks. Who doesn't know those old fogies in the Eternal Forest? Unless we attack their territory, they won't have any reaction. As for a place like Miracle City that can cause chaos, those old fogies will avoid it, so how could they take the initiative to get involved?" Saying this, Kaladin's voice turned cold. "I'll tell you the truth. There are 20,000 elite soldiers nearby. Do you think they are stationed here to put on a show? Miracle City is less than 400 miles from here. 20,000 elite soldiers can attack in 2 hours. Your Miracle City is weak inside and out. Without a city protecting barrier, a strong army, or enough troops, can you block a single attack from Battle Banner City's army?" Chu Tian slightly narrowed his eyes. "You're threatening me?" Battle Banner City sincerely wants to be friends with Miracle City, but Miracle City dares to reject the orcs' good intentions. Then the orcs will not show their cruel side. Nan Gongyun revealed a smile. "You want to attack Miracle City with 20,000 people? Why don't you give it a try? Bluffing is useless. From the moment you walked in here, your lives were already in the hands of the beast men. Surrendering is your only choice, otherwise we'll cut off your heads first and then lead the army to attack Miracle City." Gray said with a cold smile, "According to what we know, you've taken out all your assets to lend to the surrounding tribes. These 20,000 people can't attack Miracle City, but as long as we destroy your businesses outside the city, Miracle City's investments will be lost. At that time, there won't be a second wave of attacks and Miracle City will collapse on its own. You green-skinned frog." Nan Gongyun jumped up like a cat whose foot had been stepped on. "If you attack a single inch of Miracle City's land, we'll blow up all the green frogs in Battle Banner City." Gray was enraged. Who do you think you are to dare insult me? This stupid human girl has insulted the glorious orc warriors. Whether the city lord agrees or not, her only outcome is death. Kaeldon said in an ice-cold voice, Gray, use the warrior's axe to prove the glory of a warrior. Nangongyun cracked her 10 fingers, you want to fight? All right. It seems like there's nothing to talk about this time. Chu Tian said to Nangongyun, how long will it take to finish? Nangongyun looked at Gray and said with a look of disdain, this kind of trash can be finished in 10 seconds. Then 10 seconds it is. Chu Tian took out his cell phone and dialed a few numbers, connecting to the control center, Heaven's Punishment 1, Heaven's Punishment 2, after receiving the order, begin the Heaven's Punishment. I repeat, after 10 seconds, begin the Heaven's Punishment. Heaven's Punishment received. Beginning countdown, 10, the orcs were all stunned. What was this fellow doing? 10 seconds, defeating Gray in 10 seconds. Although this Gray was relatively young, he had the strength of the 4th True Spirit layer. Miracle City's human girl was in the trivial 3rd True Spirit layer. This was not just a difference of 1 layer, it was the difference between an Earth Spirit cultivator and a Heaven Spirit cultivator. Kaeldon had an inexplicably strong and ominous premonition, Gray, do it, immediately finish her off. Chapter 964. The Battle Banner City's great commander did not make a single contribution and was annihilated in a single day, not a single one could escape. If the Bramble Flower Town matter could be explained as Miracle City using despicable methods and unknown weapons, what else could they say now? The one who launched the sneak attack was Battle Banner City. Miracle City did not just have a strong offensive ability. They also had a watertight defense. This matter could not be prevented from being spread through the forest. The orc cities did not have any productivity or creativity, they mainly relied on protection fees, extortion, and looting. Now they had suffered 2 consecutive losses, which was a large blow to Battle Banner City. Not only had they lost 2 spirit transformation experts, they had lost all of Battle Banner City's face and their prestige. How could they collect protection fees in the forest? After City Lord Cao learned of this matter, it was like he had disappeared. No one saw him in the city for several days and nights. He didn't come out to pacify the situation or announce a strategy. The discussions in Battle Banner City continued for 3 days before Cao finally appeared again. He announced a general meeting to discuss how to solve the problem in front of them. There's nothing to say. We'll directly fight them to the death. Gather the troops and slaughter all of Miracle City's people. The suppressed rage of Battle Banner City's generals and advisors all erupted at once. This great shame had to be washed away with blood, otherwise how could Battle Banner City continue to stand in the forest? Cao faced the generals who were sharpening their blades, but his attitude was very cold. There was no change in his expression at all as he used his eyes to look at the old troll holding a cane sitting in the first seat on the left. I am also very angry about this matter, but in this special period, everyone must remain calm. This was the troll race's guest official Kino, currently Cao's chief advisor. After the Vice City Lord and the Great Commander were killed, Kino's position in Cao's group had risen and he was now the number 2 person in Battle Banner City. We lost because we underestimated Miracle City too much. We can't judge how many cards Miracle City has hidden, so we can't act rashly. Kino, have you been scared out of your wits by Miracle City? Battle Banner City has hundreds of thousands of warriors, would they be afraid of Miracle City? Kino's position in Battle Banner City was already the number 2 person, but as an outsider, it wasn't easy to accept him. Especially in a situation where everyone had different opinions, naturally he would be rejected by these generals. I didn't say we won't fight. Cao ignored the clamoring generals, let Kino speak his opinion. Reporting to the City Lord, Miracle City's momentum has grown and the morale of the people has reached its peak. The surrounding tribes cannot be turned and will only work with Miracle City. Battle Banner City still has a strong army, but even if we ignore the unexpected factors and directly take down Miracle City, there are still 3 large problems with doing this. Nonsense. What's wrong with attacking Miracle City? Are you even someone from Battle Banner City? Kino ignored these brainless boorish people and slowly said, "First, from these two performances, Miracle City's strength is not weak, this is an indisputable fact. There will be losses under a strong attack and the gains will not make up for the losses. Second, it is impossible for Miracle City to take the initiative and there are many people eyeing this fat piece of meat. The reason these fellows haven't made a move yet is because they are watching from the sidelines, waiting for us to fight with Miracle City and then reap the benefits. How can we satisfy their wishes? Third, Miracle City's City Lord is directly appointed by the Elven King and Miracle City's Vice City Lord is the Elven King's daughter. If we attack Miracle City, we will inevitably offend this peak forest of chaos expert. In summary, using the entire city's strength to fight Miracle City to the death is not rational, we must change our strategy." The orc generals were all filled with righteous indignation. But thinking about it, Kino's words weren't without reason. Kao softly asked, "Do you have a solution?" Kino cupped his hands. "Our first non-war method was to pressure Miracle City to side with Battle Banner City. Now that this strategy has been declared a failure, we can't solve this problem without a large-scale battle, so we must fight, but we must make a special plan. Since they had to fight. How should they fight? This one thinks that in the current situation, it is better to share it with many than to swallow it all." Kino slowly explained, "There are many powers eyeing Miracle City in this forest, so rather than waiting for both sides to be heavily injured and waiting for them to reap the benefits, we should use this chance to unite all the powers and attack Miracle City together, sharing the benefits together. Doing this will reduce our losses and increase our chances of victory, as well as avoiding future worries." Kao closed his eyes. "How do we divide it?" Cities and powers allying together, this wasn't strange in Miracle City. The problem was that everyone had their own plans and wanted to obtain more benefits, so it was very difficult to divide it evenly. The city, treasures, resources, and source stones, we don't want them, let them fight for them. Kino slowly said, "We'll use the name of revenge to steal large amounts of people, seizing the chance to capture Miracle City's City Lord Chu Tian and the production and research staff. The large cities in the forest don't know Miracle City's true value, only seeing the superficial benefits. Let them fight for these treasures and land, we'll throw away these hot potatoes and we'll avoid quite a bit of trouble. We'll also be able to obtain benefits that everyone won't be greedy for. In the future, when Miracle City's technology is used by Battle Banner City, it will already be too late for them to discover it." The orcs looked at each other in blank dismay. How could there be such a thing as taking over a city and not taking anything but people? "All right." Kao opened his eyes and a glow flashed in his eyes. "I'll leave this matter to you, I want to see the results as soon as possible. I won't disappoint the City Lord's expectations." Kino left Battle Banner City to visit the nearby cities as an envoy. An explosive piece of news appeared in the Forest of Chaos. In the Winged Race's Cloud Peak City, 100,000 winged race warriors moved out. They were like a gray cloud that covered the sky, covering the earth as they headed for Battle Banner City. In the Green Giant Race's Emerald City, 100,000 green giants passed through the mountains, crushing countless trees and forests along the way. They were like bulldozers as they charged towards Battle Banner City. Other than that, there was news that a spirit insect underground city in the underground world had actually sent out 100,000 spirit insects army under the orders of a spider to gather in Battle Banner City. When these abnormal signals gathered together, there was a message that a war was about to erupt in the forest. The power behind the Winged Race's Cloud Peak City was the Dragon's Ridge. The power behind the Green Giant's Emerald City was the Giant Mountain Range. The underground races were under the command of the mysterious Spider Queen. In other words, other than the Sea Race in the Western Sea and the Elves in the Eternal Forest, almost all the superpowers in the Forest of Chaos had gathered together, clearly pointing their spears at Miracle City. Of the 4 allied cities, other than the mysterious underground world's spirit insects, not to mention the fact that no one knew about them, the other 3 cities were large cities in the center of the Forest of Chaos. Even if Miracle City faced any one of them alone, they wouldn't have a high chance of winning, not to mention the 4 cities working together. After a few days, outside Battle Banner City. An army of several 100,000 spread out over several miles. The winged race looked similar to humans, only they had a pair of giant bird wings. They were a rare flying race, being born with the ability to fly. The 100,000 winged race could completely suppress Miracle City's weak air force, destroying Miracle City's facilities and defense system from the air. The green giants were a subspecies of the giant race. They were muscular and had dark green bodies. They were over 3 meters tall and their bodies were not inferior to the ogres or minotaurs. Their skin and flesh were hard to penetrate and they had boundless strength, comparable to a berserker. The 100,000 green giants attacking at the same time, this kind of terrifying scene was hard for normal people to imagine. The battle strength of the spider soldiers was not weak. They were good at using poison, making traps, and had very strong scouting abilities. They were especially good at digging tunnels, having the ability to attack enemies with earth spikes and earthquakes. It was hard to defend against them and they were very cunning. Finally there was the orc army in Battle Banner City. The orcs were very brave and they were definitely the core battle strength of the battlefield. The alliance this time covered the sky, the ground, and the ground. The battle strength gathered was definitely overwhelming and Miracle City could not resist at all. The Wings race leader directly announced, "We want Miracle City's source stones and materials." The Green Giant leader said, "Miracle City's city belongs to our Jadeite city." The Spider race leader said, "The Spider race is interested in the mines and Miracle City's underground research facility." Good, good. Everyone has come from afar, of course I won't let you suffer a loss. Cow raised his wine cup high up and loudly said, "Let us drink this wine together and destroy Miracle City in one fell swoop, erasing them from the map of the Forest of Chaos." Good, we'll destroy Miracle City. Make those damn humans scram out of the forest. The leaders saw that Battle Banner City did not fight for benefits and they were all very surprised. It was probably because Battle Banner City had suffered 2 losses at Miracle City's hands, so benefits were not important to Battle Banner City anymore. The most important thing was to destroy Miracle City as soon as possible to restore their face. The 4 cities' allied army was officially formed. This cooperation had a momentum that hadn't been heard of in 100 years. The local tribes in the forest that were wavering now all sided with the allied army without any suspense. There was no other way. Although Battle Banner City was cruel, the allied army was too strong. These 4 cities were first-rate cities in the center of the Forest of Chaos, with experts like Clouds and powerful armies. Green City could only be considered second or third-rate. Even if it was renamed Miracle City and taken over by Chu Tian's group, what could they change in such a short period of time? Even if they brought out all the source energy weapons, with Miracle City's current troops, it was impossible for them to block the elite armies of the 4 cities. Miracle City would definitely lose this battle. Because in front of this overwhelming strength, Miracle City had no allies and the Eternal Forest wouldn't help them, so it was useless no matter what they did. Countless forest bandits and natives were forced to join in, and their numbers numbered in the hundreds of thousands. Like this, all the large and small powers in the area were pointing their swords at Miracle City. This was an unprecedented crisis. Miracle City could be razed to the ground in an instant. Chapter 965. It was as fast as lightning. Gray's figure disappeared and turned into an afterimage as he appeared in front of Nangong Yun. An axe as fast as lightning sent Nangong Yun flying high into the air. Pang! Gray's spirit energy completely erupted and the ground under his feet caved in. A monster source spirit covered in spikes appeared and countless spirit energy spikes wildly stabbed at Nangong Yun in the air. Nangong Yun was instantly covered in spikes and she looked like a porcupine. Wild spirit energy completely erupted. Gray soared into the air and instantly surpassed Nangong Yun's height. The giant axe slammed down. This attack was not a person swinging the axe, but rather the axe carrying the person. It swept through everything and charged forward. Even if it was a mountain, it would still shatter it. So fast. Chu Tian narrowed his eyes. When Gray attacked, Kaeldon made a gesture and the 10 true spirit experts released their source spirits. Chu Tian's hand had just reached the sword hilt on his back when various kinds of weapons covered his body. As long as he made the slightest movement, he would be instantly torn to pieces. City Lord, I don't know what you're doing. Kaeldon sat in his seat without moving, but I hope you won't move, otherwise I can't guarantee the consequences. All right. Chu Tian revealed a faint smile, looking calm. His heart was counting down. 9, 8, Nangong Yun's body was covered in flames, instantly sending the spirit energy spikes flying. Her hands were covered in flames as she sent a punch at the axe glow. Stupid woman. Gray gave a cold laugh and the axe slightly trembled. There was the roar of a giant beast coming from within, which was the angry roar of the weapon spirit. This weapon was a soul-connecting weapon, how could flesh and blood block it? Not to mention a human's weak body, even an ogre would be turned into meat paste. The flame fist and axe glow collided. There was a violent explosion in the air. Gray's charge was cut off and Nangong Yun fell to the ground, staggering back a few steps. Her body was still covered in flames, but she didn't seem to be injured at all. What happened? This human could forcefully block Gray's battle axe with his flesh and blood? This axe was a famous soul-contracting weapon in Battle Banner City and Gray was in the 4th true spirit layer, which was the early heaven spirit realm. It was not something a late earth spirit realm person could block, not to mention blocking it with bare hands. Nangong Yun was covered in flames and her red hair danced in the wind. She was like an angry flame goddess. You only have this bit of strength? I haven't even used my full strength yet, receive. Gray was filled with rage as he wildly roared out, just like a wild beast that had lost control. Nangong Yun's disdainful attitude was not just a provocation, it was also a kind of insult. This incomparably heavy axe turned in her hand, but it was as delicate as a sculptor's knife. It was as overbearing as a blacksmith's hammer, instantly slashing out 100 times. Good move. Nangong Yun's feet stepped on the flames and her arms turned into fists that filled the sky. There were no fancy moves, no techniques, just extreme speed, extreme power, and extreme explosiveness, blocking Gray's attacks head-on. Even though each axe strike contained the power to split a mountain, if it was a normal cultivator, they would have already turned into paste. Nangong Yun forcefully blocked over 100 attacks, but she did not receive a single flesh wound. This completely subverted everyone's knowledge. Gray's axe moved faster and faster, while Nangong Yun's fists moved faster and faster. There were no fancy moves to speak of, it was pure strength against strength, speed against speed, pure strength, pure spirit energy. If it was a fight between people of the same level, it would be reasonable, but Gray's cultivation was much higher than Nangong Yun's, and he even had a soul-contracting weapon, but he still could not defeat his opponent. This was a bit unreasonable. Beast transformation. Gray combined his source spirit with his body, turning his originally green skin into a purple-black color. His back and arms began to grow large amounts of curved blade-like barbs. This secret technique did not just change his body shape, it also increased his speed and spirit energy by several times, increasing his battle strength. Black Spirit, release your power. The axe was summoned by its master, suddenly releasing a strong black glow. This axe that was not small became 5 times bigger. Gray's axe was no longer just a single axe, but rather a surging river. It was the radiance of the sun and moon, filled with an overbearing aura that looked down on all living beings. He had clearly used his finishing move. Good. This is more like it. Nangong Yun faced the wild axe glow. Not only did she not dodge, she revealed a look of excitement. She put her hands together, actually trying to use her 2 hands to block this attack. Gray's axe glow exploded. You're seeking death. The blade glow was like an invisible wave. This attack could not be blocked like this. Nangong Yun did not have a way to block the invisible blade chi. The wild wave slammed into Nangong Yun's body, instantly ripping apart most of Nangong Yun's clothes. With this kind of fierce chi attack, even if this girl had the body of a demon beast, she would not be able to survive. Gray was not satisfied with this. The black axe was swung again. The river-like power turned into tens of thousands of spikes that shot out. He wanted to cut this girl to pieces, turning her flesh and blood into powder under this wild storm of attacks. At this moment, Nan Gong-yun shouted, "Starlight immortal body." The faint blue starlight covered her body and instantly separated the tens of thousands of attacks. The starlight went from weak to strong in a short period of time, and she was completely immune to this fierce attack. Gray's expression changed and he immediately slashed out with his axe. Hong! Nan Gong-yun rebounded all the power back, the battle axe shattered inch by inch, and Gray was directly bounced back with a forceful method. "You want to kill your great aunt with this little bit of skill?" Nan Gong-yun stepped into the air and stood 40 to 50 feet in the air. The flames around her burned even more intensely, instantly covering the sky like a piece of red cloth. Under the extremely fierce energy, even the space was burned until it was distorted. The majestic fire phoenix finally revealed itself. "Now it's my turn." The orcs were all shocked. Everyone thought that this girl's source spirit was only a fire source spirit. Who would have thought that Nan Gong-yun had not used her full strength, only releasing the fire phoenix's power at this moment? Her entire body merged with the fire phoenix and she attacked the defeated Gray. "Stop!" Kaeldon angrily roared as he flew into the air. His two axes formed a cross of blood-red light, blocking Nan Gong-yun's attack on Gray. Kaeldon was a spirit transformation cultivator. Although he made a move in a hurry, he was not someone Nan Gong-yun could look down on. The cross-shaped blade glow blocked Nan Gong-yun's path of attack. If Nan Gong-yun wanted to kill Gray, she would inevitably be injured by this attack. If Nan Gong-yun wanted to dodge this attack, she wouldn't be able to release this attack at all. Kaeldon would have enough time to save his son. Nan Gong-yun was a madman, she didn't care that much. Even if she was in great danger, she didn't hesitate for half a second as she released the fire phoenix's power. Gray's body instantly exploded as the raging flames burned him to ashes. Nan Gong-yun was hit by the cross-shaped blade glow and was instantly sent flying. Kaeldon angrily sent out another axe strike and Nan Gong-yun spat out a large mouthful of blood, but she wasn't cut to pieces. "Time's up." Chu Tian revealed a faint smile and his eyes turned white. The 10 orcs didn't even know how Chu Tian made a move before they disappeared in a wave of energy. Kaeldon angrily slashed at Nan Gong-yun's body. Chu Tian grabbed Nan Gong-yun in the air and instantly moved several hundred meters. Kaeldon angrily sent out a third attack, instantly creating a several dozen meter long axe glow in the small town. "Are you alright?" "Boss, many thanks." Nan Gong-yun was not lightly injured and her body was covered in flames. Great Nirvana. With this effect, her heavy injuries were instantly healed. Only the clothes in front of Nan Gong-yun's chest were torn and there was a bit of exposed skin. She was held in Chu Tian's embrace and her face was a bit red. "Stop talking, let's go." Kaeldon was prepared to cut the two of them into 10,000 pieces. Light flashed on their bodies at the same time, and they instantly disappeared. What happened? Where did they go? Kaladin's son had been killed and he had lost his mind in his rage, so he did not notice the change in the environment. An orc pointed at the sky and shouted in fear, "What is that?" The entire azure sky was filled with dense black dots. These black dots were descending at an extremely fast speed, and each of them was filled with an intense aura of destruction. This is bad. The orcs did not have time to react. The first wave of bombs had already fallen in front of them. A half-blood beast man expert subconsciously slapped it with his palm, but the bomb exploded prematurely. The sudden burst of light and heat accompanied by a powerful energy wave instantly enveloped this half-blood beast man expert. Half of his body was directly carbonized, while the other half was severely burned. He fell several dozen meters away. The orcs were all shocked. They did not have time to run, they did not have time to defend, and they did not even have time to think. Countless bombs rained down with ear-piercing screeches. Every bomb turned into a small mushroom made of light and heat the moment it hit the ground. Thousands or even tens of thousands of bombs were dropped in this area in less than 10 seconds. Countless small mushrooms gathered into a sea of light and fire. Bramble Flower Town was completely engulfed by the destructive power. In just a few minutes, the entire valley was razed to the ground. The intense dazzling light could be seen from 100 miles away, and the terrifying energy fluctuations even startled some of the slumbering vicious beasts in the forest. The earth shook and the tremors went several thousand meters underground, causing chaos in the underground world. The Vice City Lord of Battle Banner City and the 20,000 elites had all disappeared. When the energy gradually dissipated, thick smoke and charred ash filled the air. The harmonious, gentle, and beautiful basin had disappeared, leaving behind only a large pit full of holes that were still burning with flames. Needless to say. Chapter 966. Vivian reported the situation to Chu Tian. Big brother Chu Tian, I've finished the task. Is that so? Chu Tian was busy strengthening the divine servants, but when he received Vivian's call, he stopped working. Your speed isn't bad, I'll remember your merit. Go and have a good rest first. In a valley in Miracle City, Chu Tian had placed a spirit gathering array, gathering most of Miracle City's spiritual energy here. It was not inferior to the heavenly cave paradise of the great Zhou country's 6 spiritual mountains. It was not inferior to any natural cultivation treasures on the continent. After all, this was a place he created. The spiritual energy in the Miracle Mountain range was all locked in this valley by the spirit gathering array, therefore it was even more pure. It was even possible to use it to cultivate immortal herbs. Chu Tian felt like he had entered a paradise when he entered the valley. The valley was filled with blooming flowers, and the flower fairies had moved a small half of the flower fairy garden here. Miracle Commerce's tens of thousands of living herbs were all planted here, and the flower fairies were in charge of taking care of them. This was one of Miracle City's secret gardens. There were several hundred flower fairies living in the Miracle Gardens. The flower fairies were aloof from worldly affairs, so they liked this kind of environment. The Miracle Gardens was personally made by Chu Tian, so the spiritual energy here far surpassed the flower fairies' garden. The flower fairies had already considered this their home. The little fox's eyes lit up as it charged into the medicine field, but it was stopped by a group of flower fairies. Lulu placed her hands on her hips in front of the little fox. Little fox, are you here to steal food again? Are you worried about being spanked? Chu Tian bent down and picked up the little fox by the neck. He looked at Lulu with a faint smile on his face. It's been a long time, are you used to living here? Ayaya, why did you come? Lulu and the flower fairies called out as they surrounded him, chattering non-stop. This place is pretty good, it's not worse than the flower fairies' garden at all. Moreover, we often rehearse movies and make spiritual spaces, so life is much more interesting than before. Only big brother Chu Tian, you're really something, not even coming to see us. Could it be that you've already forgotten about us? Sorry, I'll definitely come more often in the future. Chu Tian said this in a perfunctory manner before coming to the center of the garden. There was an empty space here that had been specially cleared. It was about 100 meters in diameter, and there was a 6-pointed star-shaped formation set up there. If one looked closely, they would find that each of the 6 corners of the hexagram was a spatial capture array, which was the original technology of the space warehouse. The center of the hexagram was a hexagonal array with a very complex and profound structure. It was connected to the 6 spatial capture arrays. There were several dozen silver energy pillars surrounding the hexagram array, with each one being around 10 meters tall. They were simply like rows of towers that were used to power the source energy array. Chu Tian checked to make sure there were no problems. Vivian was quite meticulous when doing things. Have your sisters come over. Chu Tian said to Lulu on the side, we need to start working. Lulu and the flower fairies revealed serious expressions. They knew what Chu Tian wanted to do. This was something that the flower fairies had wanted to do for thousands of years. If Chu Tian could really do it, he would be a great person that could create miracles. Take out the seed first. Lulu took out a very normal-looking seed. This seed did not have any special characteristics, it was simply like a stone that could be picked up from the side of the road. Please place the seed in the center. The entire process will require the support of the flower fairies. The flower fairies carefully placed the seed in the center of the hexagram array. Several hundred flower fairies reached out their hands around the seed and a faint glow was released from their palms. It wrapped around the seed and slowly seeped into the seed. There was no effect at all. The essence of the flower fairies could nourish top-quality immortal herbs, but it had no effect on the seed at all. It was like it was just a normal stone. At this time, Chu Tian opened the source energy array. The 6 spaces were captured by the source energy array and the primordial space aura was extracted from them. Finally it was directed to the center of the hexagram array and like a sponge absorbing water, the seed instantly swallowed the spatial aura. After around 10 minutes. Suddenly there was an almost undetectable cracking sound. On the rough stone surface of the seed, there was actually a small crack. Suddenly there was an incomparably thick energy that was released from within. When Chu Tian felt this energy, he felt like all the pores on his body had been opened. What kind of ancient and pure life force was this? Ah! There's a reaction. There's a reaction. The flower fairies cried out in pleasant surprise. But there was a small change right now. For this stone to germinate, it was not something that could be done in a single day. Chu Tian felt traces of energy leak out and his meridians became clear. If there was a bit more, he didn't know what kind of effect it would have. Interesting. Was this the legendary tree of life? Chu Tian said to Lulu, there is only one chance like this. If we fail, it will be harder to awaken the seed next time. You have to focus all your attention. Even if the sky falls down, you can't do anything, do you understand? Yes. We will definitely succeed. The flower fairies' voices were a bit trembling. Awakening the ancient tree of life seed, this was their dream for thousands of years. When Chu Tian found Vivian, she was eating fruits and chatting with Meng Yingying and Nangong Yun. Big brother Chu Tian, how is it? You did pretty well. She was almost tired to death in this period of time, but she couldn't do anything about it. Who told Miracle Commerce to only have 3 people with spatial abilities? Chu Tian would not personally do this and Meng Yingying's mirror image ability was only half-baked. If it wasn't me, who else could do it? She was very tired, but playing her unique role made Vivian feel very proud. At least it was better than working in the City Lord's fort all day. After all, in terms of managing a team or a city, she couldn't even compare to one of Meng Qingwu's fingers. What did Big Brother Chu Tian want to do? Did he really think he could awaken the ancient tree of life seed? Whether it was the flower fairies, the elves, or the Treants, they had all been studied for over 10,000 years, this was impossible. So many things have happened in the past few days. Those green frogs deserved to be unlucky. Vivian took a hard bite of the fruit, like she was treating the fruit as City Lord Cow. She used her teeth to crush it, provoking our miracle city, they're tired of living. Right, right. The 2 girls nodded. Miracle City was becoming more and more prosperous with each passing day. Miracle City was not just a city managed by Miracle Commerce, it was also the perfect home that everyone worked together to create. No matter who it was, they were filled with feelings for this city. Sirs, sorry to disturb you. Zero's voice came through the speaker in the room, the Vice City Lord has an urgent matter, she asks you to see her in the discussion hall. Meng Qingwu had an urgent matter? They did not dare be slow. Vivian teleported and everyone arrived in the discussion hall. Chu Tian saw a figure he hadn't seen in a long time. She had a graceful figure, long white hair, and the characteristics of a spirit beast. It was the fox beauty Dolores. Dolores was Miracle City's finance minister and was in charge of managing the city's caravans. Wasn't she away all this time? Why did she suddenly come back? She most likely used a rare city return scroll to instantly return to the city. Looking at her panting and anxious expression, as well as Meng Qingwu's serious expression, something terrible must have happened. Young miss, What happened? I'm afraid it's not a small matter. Meng Qinggu said, let's listen to the information Dolores brought back first. The Fox people's caravans finally found a few partners, but they all chose to separate themselves from Miracle City in a single night, even wanting to expel the Fox people. Dolores spoke of the recent matters. I've asked around and finally found out the reason. They're all prepared to join the Four Cities Alliance to deal with Miracle City. Four Cities Alliance? Meng Yingying felt this was strange. What Four Cities Alliance? You don't know, but Miracle City's recent performance has made the surrounding powers drool. Because of Miracle City's fast development and strength, these large powers feel threatened and have already become the target of everyone. Dolores said with a serious expression, Battle Banner City, Emerald City, Cloud Peak City, and Crypt City, these four cities have decided to work together. They have mobilized over 500,000 people and they are all their elites. The most terrifying thing is that their momentum is too strong this time. There are many large tribes and local powers in the Forest of Chaos that are trying to fish in troubled waters. Their troops are quickly growing and I suspect it will surpass 1 million people. Everyone was stunned. 1 million? 1 million people scale. And they were gathering the strength of the four cities. Miracle City had no chance of winning no matter what. What is the current gathering situation? Meng Qinggu quickly asked, how much time do we have to prepare? There's no time. When I came back, the four cities' armies were already gathering and the forest tribes and locals were responding. Dolores said with a pessimistic expression, Miracle City was transformed from the gnomes' green city, so whether it is in terms of city defenses or diplomacy, they are very weak. We can't find any allies at all and we can't resist this power. Our current situation is very bad. Miracle Commerce has met a large problem this time. Meng Qinggu had guessed that Battle Banner City would use external help, but she never thought that they would gather such a strong force. How could Miracle City just meet trouble? This was simply a disaster. What should they do? What should they do? Everyone's eyes fell onto Chu Tian. Who would have thought that Chu Tian would spread out his hands? Don't look at me like that, I'm not a god. With the four cities working together, even if I have heaven-piercing methods, I won't be able to change anything in this little bit of time. Even Chu Tian couldn't do anything. Did Miracle City really have no hope? Dolores's face turned ashen. All these days of hard work were going to disappear like this. You don't need to worry, there will be a way in the end. Chu Tian suddenly said in a profound voice, Vivian, can you take me to the Eternal Forest? You want to go to the Eternal Forest? Humans can't enter that place. What are you going there for? I think it's time to have a serious talk with the elves. Chapter 967. 2 hours after the large explosion, Battle Banner City was shaken. The Vice City Lord had led 20,000 elites with a monstrous aura, killing intent like the sea, and a domineering aura, but in the end, they were instantly blasted into nothingness. A resounding slap slapped the faces of everyone in Battle Banner City, stunning them all. Who would have thought that Miracle City would have this kind of courage? Who would have thought that Miracle City would have this kind of strength? Who would have thought that Miracle City would do this kind of thing? This kind of large-scale destruction, it was like a surgical attack. If it fell on Battle Banner City, wouldn't it be enough for the orcs to suffer? This explosion not only sent the Battle Banner City elites flying, it also made Miracle City famous in the center of the Forest of Chaos. Those local powers and large tribes felt like there was a sharp sword hanging over their heads. As long as Miracle City was willing, they could easily destroy any large forest tribe. This explosion was like telling the forest that the weak green city no longer existed. Miracle City had the qualifications, ability, and courage to stand among the cities in the forest. Don't think that Miracle City was a weak little white rabbit, otherwise they would end up like the 20,000 Battle Banner City army. Battle Banner City hadn't even started a war with Miracle City and they had already suffered such a large loss. The orcs were naturally filled with shock and anger as the entire city began to discuss with each other. Cao was sitting in the city lord's throne carved from dragon bones, currently listening to the report from the scouts with closed eyes. The surrounding generals and tribe leaders were all arguing. The entire army was wiped out, no one survived. Miracle City really is ruthless. What method did they use? Have you investigated it clearly? Where did Miracle City get this kind of strength? The orcs were all filled with rage. They wished they could immediately lead their army to kill Miracle City, but they were afraid of Miracle City's method of attack. Enough, shut up. Cao slowly opened his dark red eyes, but there was no change in his gaze. This matter isn't necessarily a bad thing for us. 20,000 elites being slaughtered wasn't a bad thing. The city lord's little brother had also died in Bramble Flower Town. Of course, no one dared mention this matter, they just silently waited for the city lord to continue. Cao revealed a cold smile, exchanging 20,000 people for a good chance is worth it. We can use this reason to attack Miracle City and force Miracle City to surrender. Even the Elven King wouldn't be able to say anything this time. City Lord, you've seen Miracle City's weapons, the army doesn't have any resistance against this kind of bombardment. Our army might be turned to ashes before they even reach Miracle City. The other beast men and the chief nodded vigorously. Miracle City had this kind of strength and weapons, they could even attack Battle Banner City with ease. Shouldn't they be considering the type of weapon and how to deal with it? Surround them, how could they surround them? Once Battle Banner City's army gathered on a large scale, they would immediately be attacked. If my guesses aren't wrong, this kind of attack will consume a lot of Miracle City's energy, so they can't attack many times. Otherwise, they wouldn't have bombed a trivial 20,000 army and would directly attack Battle Banner City. Cao softly said, we don't need to mobilize the army, we just need to gather the elites of the elites to form several dozen wolf teams. They will attack Miracle City from different directions, destroying their lives and production. Let Miracle City's economy collapse and force them to surrender. This was the right thing to do. Battle Banner City didn't need to fight Miracle City head-on. One was that Miracle City had powerful aerial weapons and the other was that Battle Banner City didn't want to ruin. Miracle City's bombing ability was still unknown, so using a large-scale army to attack Miracle City was very risky. The best method was to gather the elites of the elites and scatter them in groups of several dozen. Battle Banner City was very strong, with experts like clouds in a forest, Miracle City couldn't do anything at all. Cao didn't wait for the others to express their opinions and immediately gave out his orders, have the Air Force monitor Battle Banner City's airspace 24 hours a day. Battle Banner City's city protecting barrier will be prepared to be activated at any moment. Other than that, each army will gather warriors above the 100-man commander level and 3,000 people to form a wolf assault team. They will attack Miracle City quickly and accurately, don't directly clash with Miracle City's army. We will retreat when the enemy advances, we will advance when the enemy retreats, and we will attack when the enemy is tired. We will use guerrilla warfare to destroy all production and life, creating fear and chaos. On Miracle City's side, Meng Qingguo had been paying close attention to the Bramble Flower Town negotiations. When she knew that Chu Tian had given the bombing order, Meng Qingguo's heart sank and she knew that the negotiations had already collapsed. 0. Immediately send out the order. Close all production inside and outside the city and have all the troops prepare for battle, preventing a surprise attack from Battle Banner City. Understood, Sir Vice City Lord. After Meng Qingguo finished arranging everything, she returned to the transport tower in the city. Chu Tian had already brought Nan Gongyun back. Chu Tian greeted Meng Qingguo when he saw her, young miss, how was the fireworks I set off? What did you do? Meng Qingguo had a look of resentment on her face, why did you directly bomb them? Didn't we agree that no matter how unreasonable the other side's conditions were, we should pretend to compromise and stall for time for miracle commerce? They should have given us at least a week to manufacture the source energy bombs. If we fall out now, we'll be in big trouble. Elder sister Qingguo, you don't know how hateful those fellows are. Nan Gongyun had already changed into a new set of clothes, I think boss did the right thing, we should bomb those bastards to death. Meng Qingguo rubbed her forehead, this explosion is satisfying, but it will bring at least 3 bad consequences. First, we will expose the power of the heavens' punishment airships and we won't be able to attack Battle Banner City. Second, the Eternal Forest will be very dissatisfied with us. Not only will they not send an army to help us, they might even stop the Elven King from making a move. Third, Battle Banner City will have a perfect excuse and opportunity. The battle between the two cities will be brought forward. This will make us very passive. Battle Banner City was afraid of the power behind Miracle City. Although the Eternal Forest was only in name, the Elven King had given the city to Chu Tian and made his daughter the Vice City Lord, which meant that the Elven King supported Chu Tian. In other words, if the two cities fought and Battle Banner City took the initiative to invade Miracle City. With Vivian's relationship, the Elven King could bypass the council and personally come to help. Even if it was the Elven King alone, it was not a small deterrent to Battle Banner City. After all, he was a peak expert of the Eternal Forest. This explosion changed everything. Although Battle Banner City first harassed Miracle City did not have any evidence. This time Battle Banner City had an alliance with Miracle City, but Miracle City killed 20,000 of the other side's people in one fell swoop. This was clearly giving Battle Banner City a reason to invade Miracle City. Miracle City's City Lord had treacherously set a trap. 20,000 elites and Vice City Lords had been killed. This reason was too good. The Elven Council was inflexible. In order to protect the Eternal Forest's reputation, not only would they not send out the Elven army, they would also stop the Elven King from interfering. It seemed like Miracle City had gained a large advantage from this explosion, but it was actually pushing them over a cliff. If they weren't careful, they would be smashed to pieces. Blowing up Battle Banner City's 20,000 soldiers this time will bring quite a bit of benefits. First, it will deal a heavy blow to Battle Banner City, lowering their arrogance and making it so that they won't dare send a large army to attack us in the short term. Second, it will raise Miracle City's morale and restore the surrounding locals' confidence in Miracle City. Third, Miracle City will become famous in the forest in one fell swoop and deter everyone, especially the small and medium-sized powers. Battle Banner City's plan of surrounding small powers to surround Miracle City will no longer work. Meng Qinggu found that there was no use talking to Chu Tian about this. Since the explosion had already happened, there was no use saying anything else. If I was Cao, after seeing Miracle City's large-scale attack, I wouldn't dare send a large army, but I would investigate while sending elite troops to attack. How should we deal with this situation? The small disturbances from Battle Banner City over the past few days had caused a large problem for Miracle City. This matter had become this big, Battle Banner City would definitely increase their strength by 100 times. Miracle City's production could not continue and there was even the danger of being completely destroyed. It was easy to dodge a spear in the open but hard to defend against a hidden arrow. If the two cities sent their armies to fight, Meng Qinggu would not be afraid of them. The problem was that the terrain of the forest was very complex, so it was impossible to defend against a lone wolf attack. Relax, I have a way. How is the work on Yingying's side going? The undead towers have been constructed. Alright, let's go take a look. Meng Yingying had been busy directing the construction of the undead towers over the past few days. The blueprints were provided by Chu Tian and the resources were supported by the barrier. Meng Yingying had a death-attributed source spirit, so she could personally participate in the construction. Chu Tian had made large changes to the Lich's undead towers. The main undead tower was built outside the core of the undead ruins and the other undead towers were scattered around Miracle City. The main undead tower transmitted energy through the underground spiritual veins, so it could form a defensive barrier around Miracle City. Of course the defensive value of the undead towers wasn't high. This was because the undead towers were too scattered, it wasn't enough to form a defensive barrier around Miracle City. Meng Qinggu was very confused by Chu Tian's design. Rather than this, it would be better to be like the Lich, gathering large amounts of undead towers in one place and sending energy into the sky, creating an area of effect attack. Meng Qinggu was confused, but she didn't question it. These undead towers were personally designed by Chu Tian, and the things Chu Tian changed couldn't be worse than the liches, so he must have his reasons for doing this. Chapter 968. This seemed to be the only way out. Would the Eternal Forest help them? Those old-fashioned elves didn't want to be involved in a fight, not to mention that behind the power dealing with Miracle City was the strongest power in the forest. The Eternal Forest and the elves always protected themselves, so it was almost impossible for them to be involved in this fight. Chu Tian helplessly waved his hand. No matter what, we have to give it a try, otherwise we can only wait for death. Vivian hesitated for a few seconds before nodding. All right, we'll give it a try. Meng Qingguo was still a bit in disbelief. Chu Tian, you really plan on begging those stubborn old men from the Eternal Forest? Do I look like I'm joking? Other than the Eternal Forest, there is no other power that can save us. Can you convince them? It doesn't matter if I can convince the elves or not, but they will definitely send their troops. Where did Chu Tian's confidence come from? Was he this certain that the elves would save Miracle City? I'll leave Miracle City to you. Chu Tian patted Vivian's shoulder. There's no time to lose, let's go. Vivian left space without another word, and the two of them instantly moved several hundred miles away. Although Miracle City was far from the Eternal Forest, with Vivian's spatial abilities, this distance wasn't anything. When Vivian's strength was about to run out, the two of them appeared outside the Eternal Valley. There was a white stone path covered in fluorescent moss. Vivian pointed at the long path and said, "This is the only entrance to the Eternal Forest." The Eternal Forest's environment was very special. It was a space similar to a secret realm. Other than this white path, there was no other path into the Eternal Forest. Even if they deviated half a foot from the path and walked in the same direction, they would never be able to enter the Eternal Forest. Because the Eternal Forest's spatial structure was very special and there was a very high-level barrier set up, the white path was the only entrance. This made the Eternal Forest a paradise that was easy to defend and hard to attack. The elves lived inside, free and rich, so they didn't fight with the world. Vivian was a bit uncertain in her heart. Me bringing you here is already breaking the clan's rules. There will definitely be elven experts guarding the Eternal Path, so whether we can enter or not will depend on our luck. It doesn't matter, let's try. Vivian saw that Chu Tian wasn't slow from beginning to end, as if everything was under his control, so her heart instantly calmed down. There was nothing in this world that Big Brother Chu Tian couldn't handle. Since Big Brother Chu Tian was this confident, then she would go all out. The worst result was being locked up for several decades, so what did this little bit of trouble count for saving Miracle City? Stop! Who are you? Chu Tian had just walked several dozen feet when he suddenly felt a cold wind blow around him. Several dozen elves came out of nowhere and each of them had a bow drawn. There were two people at the very front pointing their swords at Chu Tian. The Eternal Forest's guards. Vivian quickly stood up and said, "Don't misunderstand. I brought him here." "Your Highness Princess Vivian." The elf girl in the lead, who looked very mature, was a bit surprised. "Why did you bring a human to the Eternal Small Path? Don't you know this is a serious violation of the clan's rules? Although you are the Elven King's daughter, the Elven Council has the final say in the Eternal Forest." Vivian quickly explained, "This is Miracle City's City Lord Chu Tian, a City Lord personally appointed by Royal Father. He is helping our Eternal Forest develop and manage the city, so he is considered a member of the Eternal Forest. There is nothing wrong with me bringing him here." This reason wasn't even enough to convince herself. Not to mention convincing the Eternal Forest's guards. What Vivian never thought was that when these elves heard Chu Tian's name, their eyes lit up. "Ah, this is the famous Mr. Chu Tian. Put down your weapons, put down your weapons, this is a misunderstanding." Vivian's eyes popped out. It can't be. Chu Tian was also very surprised. Didn't the elves want to cut humans into 8 pieces? These elves' attitudes were too good. Was it just because he was handsome? The leading female elf looked at Chu Tian with a gaze of worship. Our eternal forest has many things produced by miracle commerce, especially the video disc player and the magnetic sound device, which everyone likes. It's a pity that there is no signal here, so we often secretly go to places with signal to listen to Miracle Commerce's channel. That's right. Another elf said, when will you cover this place with the signal? This way we won't have to go through so much trouble. Ha, ha, easy, easy. Chu Tian gave a few laughs, but I've met a bit of trouble. Can you big sisters let me in? The elves were a bit hesitant. There has never been a human in the Eternal Forest before. We must report this to the Elven King. Please wait a bit. After saying this, the elf flew off. Vivian rarely came to the Eternal Forest. She never would have thought that Miracle Commerce's products would have this many customers among the elves. It was because of these products that the elves' impression of Chu Tian and Miracle Commerce had greatly improved. Perhaps they would really help them. In the end, the elf that reported to Chu Tian did not come back. There were over 100 dark golden armored elven guards holding long blades charging out, quickly surrounding Chu Tian and Vivian. Vivian's face sunk. What are you doing? Do you know who we are? These elven guards did not say anything as they escorted the two of them into the Eternal Forest. Although their posture was not very good, Chu Tian was the only human to enter the Eternal Forest in the last 10,000 years. The Eternal Forest was filled with an incomparably strong vitality. The sun's well released a warm and bright light that covered the entire forest. There were over 1 million elves living in the forest, using the trees as houses, without any worries. The beautiful elven songs filled every corner of the forest. The Elven King's palace was majestic, hanging off a cliff covered in waterfalls. It was carved from pure white jade and each detail was filled with an unimaginable sense of art and culture. Chu Tian did not have time to properly appreciate it before he was sent to the Elven Council. Several dozen elven elders had already arrived. The youngest among them was around 40 years old, giving off a warm feeling like jade. It was like every inch of his body was condensed from the essence of the world. Royal Father. Vivian's arm was locked by the guards and she quickly shouted, "Make these annoying fellows let go." The Elven King shook his head with a bitter smile. Vivian, what did you come here for? Don't you know that you can't casually enter the Eternal Forest? The speaker Augusta coldly stood up. Vivian entering the Forest of Chaos without permission is already a serious violation of the clan's rules, now bringing an outsider in is even more unforgivable. You are that human Chu Tian who likes to play tricks. Making the current young people more and more restless, you are simply a sinner that has broken the 10,000-year-old teachings of the elves. I didn't pursue this matter, but you came to the Eternal Forest. What are you planning? If you don't give a reasonable explanation today, don't think of leaving. Although he already knew that the elves were inflexible, he never thought they would be inflexible to this point. It seemed like Ulysses was already considered a good person. Chu Tian said in a voice that was neither servile nor overbearing, "I'm here to ask for forgiveness." When these words were said, not only was Vivian stunned, the Elven King, Ulysses, and even the speaker were a bit stunned. Chu Tian came to the Eternal Forest just to ask for forgiveness. Chu Tian then said, "I failed the Elven King's trust and couldn't protect the city, so I'm guilty." Augusta looked at the Elven King beside him. "City? What city?" The Elven King helplessly replied, "He's referring to Green City." "Your Majesty, you actually gave Green City to this human to manage?" Augusta revealed a look of disbelief. "That city doesn't belong to the elves. What qualifications do we have to deal with it? Not to mention that even if it belongs to the elves, the transfer of the city should be decided after the council votes and public opinion. You privately transferring the city like this does not conform to our democratic laws. This is a blasphemy against the elves' etiquette. Our great ancestor Fama once said that democracy is above everything else." Chu Tian suspected that if this old elf kept talking like this, he could talk for 3 days and 3 nights, so he quickly gave a cough. "The city is already in danger and this one is incompetent, unable to protect it, so I'll return the city to the Eternal Forest." I hope the Elven Council members can take back the city and save Miracle City's millions of citizens. The Elven King asked with knit brows, what happened? Chu Tian truthfully told him everything that happened recently. Right now Battle Banner City, Cloud Heaven City, Emerald City, and Crypt City are working together to attack Miracle City. Only the Eternal Forest's power can turn the tide. I'm willing to return the city and ask the Elven King and the Elven Council members to save Miracle City for the sake of the innocent citizens. The Elven King immediately knit his brows. Augusta immediately jumped up and said, this city was not recognized by the Elven Council, so it doesn't belong to the Eternal Forest at all. How could the elves enter a war for an illegal city? The elves haven't fought in many years, we are a peace-loving race. In order to make his words more convincing, Augusta continued to say, the facts have proven that it is because of this that no matter how many powers have fought in the forest, the elves have not been affected at all. So we don't need extra cities and lands, especially cities that will cause chaos and slaughter. Seeing that you are saving the citizens, we will exempt you from the crime of charging into the Eternal Forest, but please leave this place immediately. The Eternal Forest does not welcome humans. The other Elven Council members all nodded. It was like they were afraid Miracle City would break the peace of the Eternal Forest. Vivian gave a bitter smile. Most of the Elven Council members were old-fashioned like this. Who could persuade them to send out their troops? Let's see what methods Chu Tian has. Chu Tian's eyes popped out. The Eternal Forest really won't save Miracle City. We won't save them. The Eternal Forest will really abandon Miracle City. This city has always been illegal. All right. Chu Tian revealed a solemn expression. The Eternal Forest won't accept Miracle City, so I asked the council members to sign a contract with me, letting Miracle City cut off its relationship with the Eternal Forest. From now on, Miracle City will belong to me alone. No matter what happens, the elves can't use any excuse or reason to interfere with Miracle City's internal affairs. What was this human thinking in his head? Chu Tian said with a determined expression, since the Eternal Forest isn't willing to recognize and accept Miracle City, in this final moment, why should Miracle City fight under the Eternal Forest's banner? I just want the citizens to fight for themselves in this final moment. Augusta didn't even think about it. It should be like this. You can't go back on your word. The elves are a race of laws, how could we? All right, sign it. Under Chu Tian's supervision, the Elven Council passed the fastest decision in history. They signed a contract with the humans, announcing that Miracle City was illegal to the Eternal Forest and recognizing Miracle City's independence. From now on, Miracle City would be an independent city. Since it's like this, I'll be leaving. Chu Tian looked at Vivian and said, this trip will be dangerous. I asked the princess to stay in the Eternal Forest. After saying this, Chu Tian took out a scroll and disappeared, leaving behind a dumbfounded Vivian. Chapter 969. The crater around Miracle City was now called the Miracle Mountain Range. The Miracle Mountain Range was a standard circle, with a circumference of around 6,000 kilometers. The highest peak was close to 10,000 meters and the widest was over 100 kilometers. Most of the locals and tribes related to Miracle City were in the range of the Miracle Mountain Range. Those outsiders that came to Miracle City, most of them moved their tribes to the Miracle Mountain Range. The mines, factories, and farms that Miracle City worked with the locals were mostly in this range. Therefore, the Miracle Mountain Range and Miracle City would form an inseparable entity in the future, just like a small independent kingdom. Miracle City only developed in the crater and didn't extend their hands outside, so it was reasonable to say that they wouldn't touch the interests of other powers. They never thought that they wouldn't be able to avoid fighting and killing like this. Miracle City hadn't been developed for a long time, so the city's defenses hadn't been built yet. This weak time was when Miracle City was most vulnerable to being attacked. So Miracle City's managers had to think of a way to strengthen the city's defenses. The method Chu Tian thought of was to use the undead towers. This world's terrain and geological environment, most of it was related to the spiritual veins in the ground. The main peaks of the Miracle Mountain range were where the spiritual veins intersected. After Chu Tian modified the undead towers, he first built a main tower in the undead ruins. The death energy was like water in a well being drawn out. The undead towers that Chu Tian modified were like giant water storage tanks, and the spiritual veins in Miracle City were like water pipes, allowing the water to flow. The undead towers were built on the main peaks of the Miracle Mountain range, allowing the energy to be sent through the spiritual veins to the towers. The energy contained in the undead ruins was very strong. Water can carry a boat, but it can also capsize a boat. The energy contained in the undead ruins could almost destroy Miracle City in the past, so it could also protect the entire city. The undead towers could control the undead, but there was a limit to their range. If the undead towers were built in the undead ruins, the undead would only be able to move around the undead ruins, so it wouldn't be very useful. Now that the undead towers had been modified, not only had their corrosive and polluting properties been reduced, Chu Tian could build large amounts of undead towers around Miracle City. This way, it would form a ring of defense around Miracle City, and because there were large amounts of minerals in the mountains, they could be mined by the undead. Wasn't this the best of both worlds? At this moment, in the Miracle Mountain range, they were standing on a main peak, and their field of vision was filled with green peaks, strange rocks, waterfalls, and steep cliffs that were like broken blades or spears. There was a sea of clouds and deep ravines. With this kind of complex terrain, although it was hard to pass through, if the enemy was strong enough, they could hide themselves and Miracle City wouldn't be able to find them. This mountain forest is the industrial park created by Miracle City and the locals. Meng Qinggu looked at the uninhabited wilderness in front of her and said, although there aren't any strong fierce beasts in the Miracle Mountain range, because there are many demon beasts, we can't directly open factories in the forest. Therefore, the factories are built in the mountains or in the belly of the mountains, so it can't be seen from the surface. Miracle City's mountain range was large and there were many resources. There weren't any strong fierce beasts, so it was a very good place. But to the Battle Banner City experts, it wasn't hard for them to sneak in and cause damage. The enemy was in the light while they were in the dark. Once they caused damage, they would immediately find a ravine to hide in, and Miracle City wouldn't be able to find them. That's right. They didn't have enough people. It would be good if the Green Religion had more green protectors. These powerful puppets' battle strength wasn't bad, almost reaching the true spirit realm. They were just slow, but they could be used as tools for defense. It was a pity that even the Green Religion at their peak only had 2,000–3,000 green protectors. It was only enough to protect the city area and the main roads into the city. And now, perhaps they couldn't even protect the city area. Miracle City's mountain range was this big and there was a forest outside. How many green protectors would be needed to completely defend it? While Chu Tian was thinking, Meng Yingying ran over and reported, Chu Tian, it's done. You can go in and take a look. There was a cave behind them with a tall tower in the center. From the tower's appearance and aura, it was the Undead Tower. Only the Undead Tower had a slight change in appearance after Chu Tian modified it, and the aura it released was not as cold and evil. There were also many translucent spirit creatures surrounding the Undead Tower. Meng Qinggu could vaguely feel the energy released by the Undead Tower. This energy should be used to control the undead monsters, so if there was an Undead Tower in this area, the undead could move around for a long time. Of course, Miracle Commerce didn't have many undead right now, so the spirits surrounding the Undead Tower had only been created recently. Nangong Yun looked at the Undead Tower with curiosity. Why did Boss build the Undead Tower here? The Undead Tower itself has a defensive ability and it can release energy to attack at critical times. Other than that, it can provide large amounts of energy for the undead to fight. If we can build several thousand of these undead towers in the next year or two to form a large array, the effect won't be inferior to a city-protecting barrier. City-protecting barrier? Meng Qingwu's eyes lit up. So you're saying that this Undead Tower itself is a kind of city defense? For the cities in the Forest of Chaos, whether it was a forest city or an underground city, the city walls did not have much meaning. They couldn't defend against invaders or demon beasts. But most of the strong cities had their own city-protecting barrier. This kind of barrier could cover a large area of the city and ensure the city's stability. This kind of large-scale barrier was very hard to arrange. This was like the Great Zhou country's large Sex Mountain Protection Barrier. It required a large amount of time and energy. When Green City was at its peak, it could use the green protectors to arrange a semicircle barrier without any dead angles, protecting the entire city. Now that the green religion was weakening, they could only set up a barrier at the entrance to the city. They couldn't cover the entire city, not to mention the surrounding mountain ranges. It's too late for us to create a barrier now. Meng Qinggu knit her brows. With our current manpower and resources, no matter how fast we are, it will be hard to complete it in a year. Distant water cannot quench present thirst. Young miss, I'm not stupid. Of course I wouldn't want to create a barrier to defend against enemies. Chu Tian revealed a mysterious smile as he walked beside the undead tower. This undead tower has an important ability after being modified that can make up for our current weakest link. What ability? Detection. Chu Tian said, do you see the spirits wrapped around the undead tower? I purposely added these undead spirits into the mix. They all looked up at the undead tower. There were large amounts of spirits moving around the undead tower, just like a protective layer of the undead tower. Chu Tian continued to explain, the spirits don't have physical senses, so they use a kind of spiritual energy to detect life. They are especially sensitive to life detection. Your meaning is? Meng Qinggu looked at the undead tower. You're using their ability to detect the entire area? That's right. This ability will be amplified by tens of thousands of times through the undead tower. Within a range of several hundred miles, as long as a living being enters, especially a strong body or a large number of enemies, the undead tower will be able to detect them. Chu Tian pointed at the undead tower. This spiritual radar system only needs to be connected to a normal smart brain and it will be able to detect all kinds of small changes, giving us accurate information about the enemy. The undead tower's energy was completely opposite to the energy in the living beings' bodies. When an undead tower could detect the existence of living beings within 1,000 miles, once an expert from Battle Banner City entered, the undead tower would be able to detect them. It didn't matter if they were hiding in a valley or a cave, it was hard to hide them even with normal methods. Not to mention that they had to show themselves, they couldn't hide forever. With the smart brain's strong analysis abilities, it could accurately determine their location. Chu Tian continued to say, the little fox's divine eye can also be used at this time. If the enemy has a powerful stealth technique, we just need to determine their general location and let the little fox use its divine eye to observe them. Any stealth technique will be useless and they will be completely naked in front of us. Good, this is great. We've solved an urgent problem. Meng Qinggu thought of something and said, in our gnome's research base, we've recently developed living puppet beasts. It can increase our area's defenses. Living puppet beasts? Chu Tian and the others didn't know what it was. Meng Qinggu took out a small chicken the size of an egg from her pocket. This bird didn't look any different from a living being, but the others looked at it and found it strange. This right eye was cold and empty. This kind of puppet has a camera implanted in its body and a shaman goo controlling its brain, allowing it to move according to our will. Each one is equivalent to a mobile surveillance device. There are already several hundred of these puppet birds and puppet rabbits, all of them in the forest near the industrial area. Once we find a strange situation, we can investigate it from a close distance. Wow, this is great. Nan Gongyun felt that this city's warning system was simply perfect. Everyone didn't need to run around chasing after the enemies, but what can those idiots do to us? If they come, they're walking right into the trap. Chu Tian clapped his hands. All right, since the measures have been prepared, everyone quickly prepare. Nan Gong, you'll have to work hard for a few days. I'll gather all the Miracle City experts and you'll be responsible for killing the mice. We'll let everyone see our abilities and increase their confidence in Miracle City. No problem. There was another fight. Chapter 970. Chu Tian spent so much effort running to the Eternal Forest just to sever his relationship with the elves. This was too strange. Could Miracle City still be saved? Vivian took out the scroll and tried to activate it, but Augusta flicked his finger and the scroll flew out of her hand. What are you doing? Vivian was like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Return the scroll to me. Miracle City already has no relationship with the Eternal Forest. What is the Elven Princess doing with the humans? Augusta grabbed the scroll and said with a glare, not to mention that Miracle City is very dangerous right now. For the princess' safety, please separate yourself from Chu Tian and these humans. I'll cut your head. Vivian's palm cut open space, wanting to take the scroll back. In the end, a faint golden light appeared around Augusta's palm and blocked Vivian's power. How could the elves have such an uneducated rebellious princess? Augusta's face sunk. Your Majesty is too lacking in discipline. Vivian, you can't be rude to the council chief. The Elven King was a bit embarrassed. He couldn't do anything to this old elf. You don't need to care about this matter for now. Since you're back, you should stay in the Eternal Forest for a while. Royal Father, even you treat me like this. I have to go back. Miracle City needs me right now. Pay attention to your words. You are an elf and you've broken enough of the clan's rules. If you're punished one by one, you'll have to face the wall for over 100 years. Augusta said, the Elven Council can't let you continue acting willfully. From today onwards, you must learn the Elven race's 10 great laws and 96 etiquettes. When your actions conform to the rules of the Elven race, the Elven Council will let you regain your freedom. Even if I die in Miracle City, I won't learn those broken things. This isn't up to you. Vivian wanted to use her strength to escape, but Augusta pointed at Vivian. The difference in strength between them was too big, so Vivian's source spirit was directly sealed and she couldn't use any strength at all. Bring her away. Let me go, Royal Father. Several elven guards escorted Vivian away. Augusta turned to look at the Elven King. I ask your Majesty for forgiveness, thinking of the princess' future. She is still young and has a lot of potential, so this rebellious nature needs to be polished. As the elven race's youngest princess, she should be a role model for the other young elves. What else could the Elven King say? Although he was the Elven King in name, he had been the Elven King for less than 100 years. Whether it was influence or prestige, how could it compare to this old fellow who had controlled the Elven Council for 500 years? Of the several dozen seats in the Elven Council, only 5-6 were on the Elven King's side. The rest were all from the conservative and traditional factions led by Augusta. They had followed the Elven race's etiquettes for tens of thousands of years as the highest standard. Their stubborn thoughts were not easy to break. The Elven King looked at the scroll in Augusta's hand. This scroll seems to have a long-distance teleportation ability. This is an unheard of technology. Has this human called Chu Tian already grasped this spatial technology? I'm afraid the humans have already developed by leaps and bounds. Humph, our ancestors told us that benefits will blind our eyes and this kind of development will only bring destruction. Augusta said with a face of disdain, only by returning to nature and standing aloof from worldly affairs can we become one with the world and exist in this world. This has been the way the elves have lived for tens of thousands of years. Humans have used their intelligence, abused their strength, and wantonly developed, finally becoming the continent's public enemy. They are not far from destruction. The other people in the Elven Council all nodded. The chairman had said too much. The elves were strong enough to protect themselves. Too much power would make people lose themselves, giving rise to slaughter and evil. Vivian was sealed like this and locked in the golden copper tree. The Elven Council began to force her to study the Elven Code and all kinds of etiquette books. Those several hundred pages of books made her head feel like it was going to explode. She bit her pen while angrily complaining, Big Brother Chu Tian, you really are a bad person, leaving me here alone. A voice came from outside at this time, Your Majesty, why are you here? I'm here to see Vivian. You can all leave first, nothing will happen. Understood. The Elven King walked into the tree house and saw that Vivian was still angry. He helplessly smiled and said, Are you angry that I didn't help you or are you angry that Chu Tian left you behind? I'm angry, you two are making me explode with anger. Vivian almost jumped up when she said this. One was her father who loved her the most and the other was her big brother Chu Tian who she worshipped the most, but these two people treated her like this. Vivian felt like she had been abandoned, so how could she not be angry? Silly girl, you've been with Chu Tian for several months, can't you see what kind of person he is? Vivian was stunned. What did you say? Although I don't know what he wants to do, he must have a reason for doing this. The Elven King looked at Vivian and said, as for what it is, I think we'll find out soon. Really? Vivian was filled with doubt. However, when she thought about Chu Tian's character and actions, she felt that this matter was very strange. Could it be that Chu Tian deliberately broke off with the Eternal Forest and deliberately threw her in the Eternal Forest? What was his goal? Could Miracle City hold on? Could it be that Big Brother Chu Tian knew he couldn't save Miracle City and sent her back to not implicate me? When Vivian thought of this, her heart suddenly tightened. At this time, all of Miracle City was in a mess because the news of the Four Cities army gathering had arrived. An army of several 100,000 marched towards Miracle City. Flags flew in the air, covering the sky and giving off an aura that could swallow 10,000 miles. Flatten Miracle City. Flatten Miracle City. Flatten Miracle City. The sky above this ancient forest reverberated with shouts filled with monstrous killing intent. The army spread out over 10 kilometers and the Wings Race army covered the sky. There were some Wings Race experts that could fly tens of thousands of meters in the air. Once the airships attacked, these Wings Race people would notice them. The green giant moved like a small mountain, just like a green wave crushing the forest. Wherever he went, it was like he was being bulldozed by a bulldozer, turning the trees into a mess. Over 100,000 orcs riding war wolves and giant leopards moved quickly, surrounding the left and right wings of the green giant. Once they came into contact with the enemy, the orc cavalry would be able to charge at them in a short period of time. The spider race was in charge of the rear and underground, so Miracle City had no chance at all. This kind of scene was rarely seen in the Forest of Chaos. All the locals fell at the sight of this and began to list Miracle City's crimes, expressing their irreconcilable hatred with Miracle City. They swore to join the Four Cities army to fight Miracle City, as if Miracle City was an irreconcilable enemy that killed their families. Wherever the Four Cities army went, there were more and more people responding. Whether it was the tribes or the bandits, they didn't want to miss this chance. Miracle City was finished, there was no suspense in the result of this battle. This was a large forest city that had been in operation for several hundred years, the wealth and resources accumulated were enough to make people drool. Who didn't want a piece of the pie? The commander of this city extermination battle was personally appointed by the Battle Banner City Lord Cao. Cao personally leading the charge was enough to show how important Miracle City was. No wealth, no land, no resources, no weapons. Battle Banner City had to obtain Miracle City's technology. Send down the order. First send out 50,000 Wings Race troops to attack the mountains around Miracle City, destroying Miracle City's defenses and subduing the tribes that submitted to Miracle City. They will occupy a few strongholds for us and the Spider Race will build a temporary camp. Yes, Sir City Lord. The messenger quickly sent down the order. A large half of the Wings Race troops left the main army and covered the sky like a swarm of locusts, quickly moving towards the mountain range around Miracle City. Fireballs, wind blades, rocks. All kinds of attacks fell down like a wild storm. They did not encounter any decent challenges, and the Winged Race troops easily swept through the few defensive facilities. Ha, ha! Miracle City is too weak. They didn't even resist at all. It didn't take much effort for the Four Cities army to attack Miracle City's perimeter because all the tribes in the mountains around Miracle City seemed to have evaporated. All the tribes were emptied of people. This was a bit strange. Could they have all escaped? Impossible, they all escaped. Why didn't they see them on the way? Most of these tribes had some savings, so even the smallest mosquito was meat. If they ran into them, they wouldn't let them off. But they didn't see any of these tribes and they didn't find anything valuable in searching their tribes. Did they all take refuge in Miracle City? Strange, with such a large army pressing down on them. Not a single one of the outer powers surrendered. But what did it matter? They were going to be destroyed anyway. Over 100,000 spider race soldiers dug through the mountain rocks and created a temporary camp in less than half a day. Cao led the main army to enter and various kinds of restrictions and barriers were set up. This army of close to 1 million soldiers faced Miracle City. The 4 cities' army didn't even have a stable footing. There are unknown objects flying over. These must be Miracle City's strange weapons. Cao gave a cold laugh. Have the wings race shoot them down. Miracle City shot out several hundred missiles. The Battle Banner City people knew the might of the source energy weapons. If these things fell into the camp, they would instantly cause large amounts of damage. Therefore, the wings race immediately moved out. This was a race that specialized in speed and the true spirit experts could easily surpass the speed of sound. Miracle Commerce's missile weapons had just been developed, so there weren't many of them. They were all cut down by the wind blades in the air and not a single one hit their target. Miracle City has already exhausted all their tricks. Cao was completely assured seeing this. The 4 cities' army was a 3-dimensional army. The wings race was enough to form a strong defense line, making all of Miracle City's weapons lose their effect. Miracle City was completely sealed off, without any supplies or reinforcements. Although their weapons were very strong, in this kind of situation, how long could they last? Send down the order. Prepare to begin the first round of attacks. Chapter 971. Meng Qinggu quickly brought over a smart brain. After the smart brain connected to the undead tower, the undead spiritual radar began to work normally. The undead tower's main tower extracted energy from the undead ruins and this energy flowed through the earth veins to the main peaks of the mountain range. These undead towers on the main peaks extracted energy and after being transformed by the source energy array, it increased the probing abilities of the spirits by a large amount. Finally they could send out probing waves once every 2 seconds. The amount of data collected was too large. If it was a normal spiritual body, they wouldn't be able to distinguish it at all. Miracle Commerce's smart brain was used. The smart brain itself was a spiritual body and after connecting to the undead tower, the smart brain could collect all the data and analyze it, creating a simulated image. After a few hours of collecting, the distribution map of the creatures in Miracle Mountain Ridge was basically presented. The life forms below the 7th awakened soul layer were directly blocked out, eliminating 99% of the life forms. The rest were processed by the smart brain and made into a life form map. This map had already been created. If new creatures came in, the undead radar would be able to detect them. The fluctuations of demon beasts were different from intelligent creatures, so they only needed to focus on the fluctuations of intelligent creatures. In the dining hall of the city lord's castle, Chu Tian was currently eating with everyone. Yingying, eat more of this, it can increase your breasts. Hey, I don't need it. Yingying said this, but she stuffed it into her mouth and swallowed it in 2-3 bites. Then she ate a few mouthfuls of the high-quality spirit rice produced by the elves to cover it up, as if she hadn't done anything. Chu Tian laughed from the side and the others all had smiles on their faces. Yingying's face instantly turned red. Nangong Yun revealed a look of envy. I just found out that boss is already together with Yingying. I really envy you all. I'm already 20 years old and I still don't have anything to look forward to. You also worry about this kind of thing? I thought only the young miss would. Chu Tian did not even finish before the young miss stuffed a chicken leg into his mouth. At the same time, she glared at him, eat your food. Don't speak nonsense. I am also a woman, all right. Nangong Yun was very dissatisfied with Chu Tian's words. Which woman in the world doesn't want to find the best husband? Yingying, I really envy you. Why didn't I meet boss first? I think no one wants me. If I can't get married in the future, I might as well ask boss to take me as a concubine. I don't want a title, I don't care about that. Pooh. Chu Tian spat out the chicken leg. Meng Yingying was also stunned. This female devil's mouth did not hold back, everyone already knew about it, but they never thought that she would even say this kind of thing. Nangong Yun was still a great beauty. Other than being a bit fierce, she was definitely in line with the continent's beauty standards. How could no one want her? Nangong Yun saw everyone's expressions and she seriously said, I am very serious. Yingying, you won't dislike me, right? I am absolutely loyal to boss, I can enter the bedroom, I can leave the hall, and I can even fight. Meng Yingying scratched her head and was a bit embarrassed. Our relationship is this good and we are already sworn sisters, how could I dislike you? I always thought that it would be good for everyone to live together. Chu Tian, what do you think? Fuck, if Yingying says this, then what else do I have to say, you? At this time, the young Mrs. Fiery gaze swept over and Chu Tian felt like his tongue had been nailed. Yingying was soft-hearted and easy to talk to, but that did not mean other people were easy to talk to. He could only give an embarrassed smile, let's eat first, let's eat first. This kind of question is related to ethics, we'll talk about it later. Nangong Yun was a bit disappointed. But she was very thick-skinned and did not care too much. When the atmosphere became a bit awkward, a voice suddenly rang out in the dining hall, City Lord, Vice City Lord, the second miracle has already completed the life form map of the undead radar. Should we immediately take it out? This was the smart brain that the second miracle had just sent over. This entire city defense system relied on the second miracle. Although the second miracle's authority and power could not compare to Zero's, it was still a complete super smart brain, so there was no need to doubt its ability. Meng Qinggu stood up, let's take a look first. Understood, Sir Vice City Lord. As soon as Zero's voice fell, several image transfer mirrors came together, finally forming a giant mirror. There was a circular map of Miracle City's surroundings and then large amounts of different lights appeared on it. Nangong Yun and Meng Yingying looked at the dense light and felt dizzy, feeling a bit of trypophobia. Perhaps only a fellow with a super abnormal calculation like smart brain could calculate the amount and intensity of the light. Zero's emotionless voice rang out, this is the life form map of the Miracle Mountain Range. The intensity of the light represents the strength of the life forms and we have calculated that there are 5,631 true spirit realm experts. Impossible. Meng Yingying put down her bowl and chopsticks, how could there be this many true spirit realm experts, you must have made a mistake. Smart brain can't be wrong. Meng Qinggu shook her head. Although she was shocked by the data, she still believed in smart brain's calculations, most of these are demon beasts. Yes, Vice City Lord. Zero's soft voice slowly echoed, from the data, there are 5,072 non-human true spirit realm life forms hiding in the Miracle Mountain Range. According to the demon beast classification, they are level 3 demon beasts. 7 of them are high-grade level 3 demon beasts. Everyone revealed a shocked expression. High-grade level 3 demon beasts were equivalent to the true spirit realm's spirit transformation realm. Not only were there 5,000 true spirit realm level 3 demon beasts hiding in the mountain range, there were even 7 spirit transformation realm demon beasts. This was truly too shocking. Miracle City's location was very good, the activity of demon beasts was very low and there weren't any super strong beasts, but with this kind of data, it could be imagined how many demon beasts there were in the Forest of Chaos. This is too shocking. Meng Yingying said, these demon beasts can destroy Miracle City. Chu Tian revealed a smile, what are you so nervous about? The Miracle Mountain Range is not smaller than the Great Summer Country's Qing State's Green Ridge. What does a trivial few thousand level 3 demon beasts count for in such a large mountain range? This is the center of the Forest of Chaos after all. This means there are over 500 true spirit realm experts. Meng Qinggu nodded in agreement with this data. The accuracy of the undead radar Chu Tian made should be reliable, like this, it'll be easy to find the target. The enemy will most likely send large amounts of true spirit experts and once they enter, we'll be able to detect them. Let's use the highest level detection mode. Yes. 0 left. Meng Qinggu revealed a rare smile. With this undead radar in our hands, Miracle City's safety will increase by at least 10 times. We can't be careless. Chu Tian reminded, there are many ways to hide the aura of life in this world, and some dark or undead creatures don't need to hide themselves. We can only monitor the area with the life distribution map, so there is a limit to it. There was nothing perfect in this world. This detection system was already enough to make Meng Qinggu pleasantly surprised. After the undead radar operated for a day, the second miracle had collected more and more data. It could even grasp most of the demon beast's activity patterns. At this time, there was a strange piece of data that entered the map, which immediately attracted the attention of Smart Brain. A second one, a third one. At least several pieces of data entered. There were 200 people in the True Spirit Realm and around 2,800 people in the Peak Ninth Awakened Soul Layer. This was an elite team, not to mention that there was a spirit transformation expert leading them. The target has appeared. They really did use this kind of tactic. Since they've walked right into our trap, then don't blame us. Meng Qinggu gave an order to 0, please analyze their movements. Nangong Yun, mobilize the special forces and keep in contact with headquarters. All right. Nangong Yun quickly left. Meng Qinggu locked onto the strongest team. This team was made up of 25 people, including a spirit transformation realm expert. He should be the leader of this operation. Whether it was their status or their threat, these fellows were undoubtedly important targets. Little Fox, go take a look. Chu Tian used the little fox's divine eye to scan from afar. The divine sense scan could make it impossible for hidden targets to hide, and it could gather information about their fighting style, allowing them to make a better battle plan. They're heading for the airship factory. Could it be that they've already found out that the airship was responsible for blowing up their 20,000 people? Meng Qinggu was surprised that this team was heading straight for the airship factory, but this surprise did not last long. She immediately gave the information to Nangong Yun, they will pass through a canyon, that is the best place to ambush. Nangong, it's up to you. Remember, you have to be careful, there are spirit transformation experts among them. Nangong Yun obtained the detailed information and her confidence exploded. She raised a single source energy cannon and said with an arrogant expression, looking down on Miracle City. We'll make them pay a heavy price today. Everyone, follow me. This was an elite team of around 1,000 people. This team not only had 50 true spirit experts, there were shamans, druids, and green religion priests. The others were all experienced soldiers in the forest, so this was definitely a very powerful team. Under Nangong Yun's lead, everyone quickly began to move. The 1,000 people placed the 4 new cannons in the canyon and also placed large amounts of mines on the ground. All kinds of preparations had been made, with several hundred storm rifles all standing by with their muzzles pointed downwards. Chapter 972. This is bad. A Miracle City bear man ran in front of Nangong Yun while pissing his pants. Big sister Nangong Yun. The enemy has completely occupied the outer perimeter. I can see it, this old lady isn't blind. Nangong Yun stood on a tall mountain and she could see the enemy's main camp in the distance. It was simply like a boundless ocean. Damn, they've really spent a lot to attack Miracle City. Miracle City's outer ring of mountains was now occupied by the 4 cities' allied army. Miracle City was defending the inner mountain range. They had no choice but to give up the outer perimeter because Miracle City had to shrink their defensive circle. That way, they could gather a stronger force. Everyone was filled with fear. What should we do now? Nangong Yun's brows jumped up. What do you think we can do? Fiercely beat them for me. The 4 cities' armies were unstoppable, but that didn't mean Miracle City was a fish on the chopping block. Although Miracle City didn't have a barrier that covered the entire city, there were several hundred green protectors that could support a small barrier. Meng Qinggu urgently took out all the source energy weapons in Miracle Commerce's storage and even the weapons that were sold to the Great Summer Country's army to Miracle City. There were over 500 source energy cannons, over 30 strengthened source energy cannons, and tens of thousands of other heavy firearms. Miracle Commerce had used all their resources. The tribes around Miracle City also showed a high degree of loyalty, not a single tribe betrayed them. These over 2 million locals brought their families to Miracle City. The stronger young men joined the battle, contributing quite a bit to Miracle City's defenses. Dongfang Howren was urgently called back, and even Arnold and the others were called back. Even Meng Yingying and Dolores had to join the battle. Many experts from the Great Summer Country were sent over to help. Miracle City gathered all the battle strength they could gather together. This was definitely a life and death battle for Miracle City. Hong! Hong! Two large explosions came from the west side of the mountain range. Nangong Yun received Zero's voice on her cell phone. Pay attention, there are enemies trying to sneak attack Miracle City. Because they have entered our minefield, they have been stopped. Nangong Yun took out a map of the enemy. This map was a piece of leather-coated material. The second Miracle Smart Brain controlled the undead spiritual radar to scan the Miracle Mountain range once per second. After processing the data, it was sent to the central Smart Brain 0, and 0 sent the data to the map in the hands of the frontline commanders. There were two frontline commanders. Nangong Yun was in charge of the southern line and Dongfang Howren was in charge of the northern line. Each line was divided into several areas and each area had troops. Dolores was in charge of the quick response troops, Meng Yingying was in charge of the airships and the air force, and Meng Qingwu was in charge of the central command. Humph, idiot, simply seeking death. Nangong Yun could clearly see several groups trying to sneak attack. Miracle City had already expected the Spider Race warriors to use this method, so they had placed all the source energy mines around Miracle City. These Spider Race warriors were close to the mines, so it would be strange if they weren't blown to pieces. Zero's voice sounded out again, pay attention, the enemy is approaching in large numbers. They are mainly attacking from the southwest. I have already sent out intercepting missiles. I ask all commanders to prepare for battle. Was it finally coming? Because the battlefield was too big, the naked eye couldn't see the entire situation. Nangong Yun took a few pictures of the enemy situation map, and the enemy situation map immediately changed from the life signal distribution map to the Heaven's Eye Airship's high-altitude reconnaissance map. Nangong Yun could clearly see a large group of winged clan troops rushing towards her position. These fellows were very sly. They were moving close to the mountains, so the naked eye couldn't see them. There was no doubt they were trying to catch Miracle City off guard. Nangong Yun revealed a cold smile. 9:00 clock direction, source energy cannons, fire. The 80 source energy cannons aimed at the gap between the two mountain peaks. Although nothing appeared, they didn't care about this and just followed the order. The cannons instantly fired. When the source energy cannons fired, large amounts of dark clouds charged out from the back of the mountain. The source energy cannons landed on them and instantly caught the winged race off guard. A large amount of them were instantly killed, with at least several hundred casualties. Nangong Yun broke out in laughter. These damn birdmen aren't staying in their bird nests, they're actually following the green frogs to seek death. Let them see Miracle City's might. Cannons, firearms, crossbows, and javelins. Miracle City's advanced source energy weapons and the locals' traditional crossbows and javelins were used together. All kinds of lights were released in the sky. The beautiful light was incomparably dazzling and the terrifying explosions were deafening. The winged race's nimble figures kept moving back and forth in the sky. After all, they were the elites of a forest city and each winged race soldier was an expert picked out of 100. They moved too fast and most of Miracle City's attacks missed. Various wind blades and flames kept attacking Miracle City's defenders. The green protectors opened their arms and created protective barriers one after another, blocking the winged race's attacks. At this time, a large group of green giants were like gorillas, aggressively climbing over the mountains. They were all like human-shaped diamond warriors, charging forward against the storm rifles with their flesh and blood bodies. The orc knights on the ground turned into countless black streams that charged through the canyon. The battle between the two sides instantly entered a white-hot stage. Cao looked from afar and couldn't help being shocked. He was very happy that he didn't attack Miracle City alone, otherwise with Battle Banner City's strength, even if they sent out all their troops, they still wouldn't be able to take Miracle City. Even if they took Miracle City, Battle Banner City's troops would all be killed and the gains would not make up for the losses. It was just like Kino said. In the end, it was all for the other powers. Miracle City's performance was just too unexpected. Miracle City did not have a large city protection barrier. These mountain ranges to Miracle City, not only did they not become a barrier, they even hindered their counterattack to a certain degree. Miracle City was a typical forest city, it was just too big, so this kind of battle could not be compared to normal battles. The defending side needed to defend a large area that was full of holes. On the other hand, the attackers were able to take advantage of any gap and attack the opponent's weak spots from anywhere. Miracle City was not just at a disadvantage from the start of the battle. In terms of military strength, Miracle City's army was mainly made up of personally trained berserkers, tens of thousands of new recruits, the gnome army of Green City, and finally the local army. This kind of mixed-together army was not only not coordinated, it was not strong at all. The Four Cities army was different. This army's main force was made up of the elites of the various cities, it was not something Miracle City could compare to. Miracle City, who didn't have the right time, location, and manpower, could actually block the wild attacks of the allied army. The source energy weapons mended the large gap in strength. The city's dynamic intelligence system mended the gaps in the city's defenses. It was because of this that Miracle City could block the Four Cities army, at least blocking the first attack. Cao had been attacking for almost an hour, but he still couldn't break through Miracle City's defenses. The Four Cities army was already in chaos, and if they kept fighting like this, they would lose more than they gained, so they immediately retreated. This was truly a bloody battle. The Wings race lost 20,000 soldiers, the Green Giants lost 15,000 soldiers, the Spider People lost 30,000 soldiers, and the Orc Cavalry lost 25,000 soldiers. A total of 90,000 people died. Cao's face instantly turned livid. Although Miracle City's losses weren't small, this kind of losses far surpassed their expectations. The Wings race leader complained to Cao, City Lord Cao, Miracle City's strength is much stronger than we imagined. Our Wings race lost over 20,000 soldiers, but we couldn't even break through the enemy's defenses. I dare bet that Miracle City's losses aren't as many as ours. Are you doubting this City Lord's abilities? Cao gave a cold snort. Miracle City clearly has some unknown probing ability. During the battle, I sent out at least 10 sneak attacks, but no matter which mountain they sneaked into, they were all intercepted by Miracle City. As for the power of their weapons, you should have experienced it yourself. Just tell me what we should do. The Green Giant leader violently cut him off. Our losses are this heavy, the blood of our clansmen can't be spilled for nothing. Miracle City must be taken down. No need to rush. City Lord Cao sat in his seat and said with a confident expression, today's attack was not smooth, but Miracle City's losses are not small. Their weapons are quite worn out and they are too reliant on these weapons. We just need to recruit large amounts of forest tribe warriors and gather them into an army of 1,000,000. They will attack from many directions and attract their firepower at the same time, greatly reducing the pressure on us. We will definitely be able to break through Miracle City in one fell swoop. Everyone nodded. It was reasonable, they would do it like this. At the end of today's battle, although the Four Cities army was in chaos, Miracle City's firepower was clearly weaker. There was no doubt that for Miracle City, it was very strenuous to block this kind of fierce attack and it consumed a large amount of their battle strength. When Nangongyun returned to the City Lord's castle, her face was covered in burn marks and her clothes were in tatters. On the battlefield today, the area she was in charge of had been heavily attacked. Nangongyun was a madman. Although the other side had experts like clouds, she still charged forward without a care for her own safety. If she didn't have the Starlight Immortal Body and the Great Nirvana Scripture, she wouldn't be able to survive even if she had 10 lives. Dongfang Haoran and the others also came back. They were all heavily injured and the situation was not good. Everyone reported their situation. Although the defensive line was defended, they had paid a large price. Dolores said with knit brows, there are several minefields that have almost no source energy mines left. If we fight again, I'm afraid we won't be able to defend against the spider army. If they couldn't defend against the spider army, the consequences would be very serious. These fellows might just appear in the center of Miracle City. At the critical moment of the battle today, I used several Heaven's Punishment airships to reverse the situation. In the end, when we dropped the bombs halfway, 5-6 birdmen found the airships. Meng Yingying indignantly said, those birdmen are at least at the Heaven Spirit realm. They were too fast, the airships couldn't escape and the Heaven's Punishment were all destroyed. There's also me. Nangong Yun slammed her fist on the table, 60% of the cannons on this side were destroyed by them. I'm afraid we won't have enough firepower if we fight again. Big Sister Qinggu, do we still have any cannons in storage? Give me another 100 to replenish. No more. Meng Qinggu also felt like her head was about to explode. She shook her head with a long sigh. Now that the Great Summer Country's 4 states Lake Fleet's cannons have been sent here, we've already used up all our strength and resources in this battle, there's no other way. Everyone looked at each other in blank dismay. What should they do? Miracle City's defenses hadn't been broken, but their defensive power had been greatly reduced. The second attack from the 4 cities' army would be even fiercer and Miracle City wouldn't be able to block it with their current situation. Chapter 973. 25 orcs wearing camouflage cloaks quickly moved through the forest. Their bodies were covered in scent removal medicine, so even the most sensitive wolf dogs would find it hard to detect them. These people were all true spirit realm experts, they were all famous people in Battle Banner City. Some of them were tribe leaders and some of them were famous generals. They were led by the commander of Battle Banner City's army, forming this most elite assault team. Battle Banner City's retaliatory attack had already begun. They were prepared to destroy Miracle City's outer structures in one fell swoop and create chaos. Then they would infiltrate Miracle City and capture high-level members, forcing Miracle City to compromise or surrender under this large pressure. Commander, we're about to reach our target. Good, let's speed up. The body of the half-beast man commander was a size larger than that of an ordinary half-beast man. Every muscle was as tough as a rock, and its entire body was shrouded in a layer of powerful aura. Its weapon was a thick wolf-tooth mace, and every spike was dancing with sparks of electricity. There was no doubt about the energy contained within. The 25 of them were all peak experts, so their feet didn't touch the ground during the entire process. They crossed 100 meters in the blink of an eye, and no matter how steep the terrain was, it was no different from flat ground in their eyes. Although they were very fast, there was no sound of breaking the air at all. This kind of large mountain range, this kind of secret route, and this kind of silent advance, even if Miracle City knew that their outer structures would be attacked, they couldn't do anything. After all, Miracle City didn't have many soldiers they could use. Even if they went all out, they couldn't control the entire mountain range. Not to mention that if they split their forces, Miracle City's defenses would weaken and these Battle Banner City experts could take advantage of them. Although it was like this. But it was strange. The orc commander had a strange feeling like he was being watched, but he didn't feel any killing intent when he looked around. Other than a small gray bird on a branch not far away, looking at these intruding beings, he didn't find anything strange at all. Was it an illusion? It should be. With this kind of speed, this kind of stealth, and a small-scale advance, Miracle City shouldn't be able to find them no matter how skilled they were. The orc commander thought like this as he led his troops into a canyon. They were very close now. The airship factory was at the end of the canyon. As long as they destroyed this factory and burned all the airships in the factory, Miracle City's air force would be greatly weakened. This was the reason why the commander personally led his troops to attack this place. The enemy's target has been confirmed. The orc commander looked at the entrance of the canyon and he could already see the leather processing area around the airship factory. He immediately raised his mace and shouted, "Everyone attack for me, we'll flatten it in 3 minutes." Yes. The orcs' brains were weaker than humans, they didn't even understand the terrain before the commander gave the order to attack. The 8-9 chiefs and warriors shot out like arrows. When they jumped out of the canyon, a faint source energy array appeared all around them. What? The orcs found that there were large amounts of talismans buried in the walls of the canyon entrance. These talismans? Countless runes spread out like water seeping into a crack in the rock. In just 2 breaths of time, they saw a giant source energy array above and below the canyon, releasing a restrictive power that made these cultivators feel their source spirits being suppressed. This is bad, we've been ambushed. The orc commander's face fell. Retreat. The orcs charging in front quickly stopped their charge. Although their source spirits were temporarily restrained, these people were not ordinary people. They first stopped in the air and then quickly retreated. Their feet landed on the ground. They were prepared to use their strength to break free. At this time, a powerful energy fluctuation came from under their feet. They didn't have time to react before they were swallowed by the explosion and energy. This explosion was very strong and covered a large area, it was clear it was set up to kill them. Several Beastman powerhouses were blown to pieces on the spot, while the others were badly mutilated and heavily injured. The energy flow produced by the explosion actually swept out for several hundred meters, tearing apart the flowers, plants, and trees. Even the others were affected to a certain extent. The orc commander felt a strange aura, 2 sides, there on the 2 sides. A large number of figures appeared on both sides of the mountain ridge. Several hundred people began to fire with their storm rifles, and there were even a few annihilator machine guns that spat out beautiful flames. Countless powerful source energy bullets were like a river flowing backwards. Even with the strength of these people, in this situation where they were caught off guard, they were beaten into a sorry state and most of them were instantly injured. The orc commander released his spirit energy in a rage and condensed it into a thick protective spirit energy, blocking all the attacks coming at him. He shot into the sky like a rocket. This fellow was a spirit transformation expert. If they were allowed to close in, perhaps no one would be his match. Nangong Yun had already understood the situation through the reports, therefore she had been on guard against this orc great commander from the start. When she saw him attack, she didn't even think as she immediately raised her source energy cannon and fired at the great commander. Nangong Yun's shoulder cannon was made from new energy and the terrifying recoil almost sent a violent woman like Nangong Yun flying. The giant source energy cannon shot at the orc commander. This close. This fast. Even with the orc commander's spirit transformation strength, he couldn't dodge it, he could only block it. The beam of light slammed him into the ground, creating a large hole in the ground. Although the orc commander wasn't killed, he still suffered some flesh wounds. Damn, his skin is really thick, even this can't kill him. Nangong Yun threw away the burning cannon and shouted, "Heavy cannons, where's the heavy cannons? What are you doing, do you need this old lady to remind you? Fire the cannons and kill them." When had the orcs ever seen such a terrifying source energy weapon before? In just a few short seconds, they had already been caught off guard. The 4 source energy cannons were ready and a terrifying energy storm was brewing in the valley. These source energy cannons were strengthened versions of the source energy cannons. Although they were still using the white crystal oil cannons, they were several times stronger. With a single shot, normal Earth spirit cultivators would be instantly killed and Heaven spirit cultivators would be heavily injured. Now that 4 cannons were firing at the valley, what kind of scene would that be? Countless storm rifles and destroyer machine guns suppressed them, not letting the orcs fight back at all. The 4 cannons fired 3-4 times and the gap in the valley became larger. Other than the orc commander and a few stronger ones, the others had already lost their lives to the cannons. Ha, ha, you're all too useless. Nangong Yun jumped down from the cliff. Miracle City's people, it's time to kill the enemy, immediately charge with me. Miracle City experts kept jumping out from the mountain ridges on both sides and large amounts of elites charged out from the valley. The orc commander was surrounded by wild attacks, How could he block them when he was already covered in wounds? Nangong Yun slashed through his neck and ripped off the orc commander's head. The enemy commander has been executed. The enemy commander has been executed. The Miracle City people instantly cheered. This was just the beginning of the battle. Battle Banner City's carefully planned strategy was now in Miracle City's hands. Each hidden army was surrounded by Miracle City and almost no one could escape. This kind of elite army was almost completely annihilated. Miracle City rewarded them based on merit. The natives who participated in the battle this time were all promoted or rewarded. The soldiers never thought that the army would have this kind of benefit, and their morale was instantly raised. The undead spiritual radar had just been tested, and this completely dispelled the doubts in the locals' hearts. Miracle City didn't need to worry about being ambushed at all. Meng Qinggu announced that all production would resume as usual. The entire Miracle City didn't have the urgency of a battle and quickly returned to the bustling scene from before. Meng Yingying was once again filled with admiration towards Chu Tian. This thing is too powerful, we don't need to be afraid of being harassed anymore. Why didn't you take it out earlier? Chu Tian helplessly said, the undead tower requires large amounts of dark and death-attributed rare materials, and we don't have a lot of these things. Didn't we have no other choice this time? We can't be careless. Battle Banner City has suffered 2 heavy losses, they will definitely fly into a rage out of shame. When everyone was feeling proud, only Meng Qinggu was still very cautious. Miracle City's army isn't strong enough. Although we have the powerful source energy weapons, it isn't time to start a city war yet. Chu Tian said with a smile, young miss, you're worrying too much. Although Miracle City isn't strong enough, we're on the defensive side. Even if Battle Banner City really attacks, we have no reason to lose. Battle Banner City has suffered such heavy losses, they won't dare act rashly. What does the young miss think they will do next? They will definitely ask for reinforcements. Meng Qinggu said with a soft sigh, this is one of the things I'm most worried about. Miracle City doesn't have any allies in the Forest of Chaos, and the Eternal Forest won't help us, but it's hard to say for Battle Banner City. Not to mention that Battle Banner City has the shadow of the Savage Highlands behind them. Who knows if the Savage Highlands will send experts or troops to interfere? The young miss worries were reasonable. Miracle City had displayed strength that exceeded everyone's expectations twice. Although it was enough to attract the attention of the various powers, Miracle City was still isolated and could only rely on themselves no matter what happened. Fortunately. Chapter 974. The Heaven's Eye airship looked over the entire battlefield. The radar made it impossible for people to hide. No matter how fast Cao's army moved, they couldn't escape Meng Qingwu's grasp. Now that Cao's army had a large change, they should be preparing for a full-scale attack. This meant that there would be an even more intense battle coming up. Miracle City's greatest disadvantage was their lack of a city-protecting barrier, but their source energy weapons were their greatest advantage. Cao clearly wanted to spread out Miracle City's firepower, making it easier for his main force to enter Miracle City. His plan wasn't bad. 0. Analyze the situation. Yes, Sir Vice City Lord. Zero's voice came from the speaker in the room before falling into a few seconds of silence. It was most likely he was using a supercomputer to complete a large calculation. The second smart brain has analyzed the data, and the results are as follows. The number of enemies is between 800,000 and 900,000, and it is still increasing. The enemy has been deployed. The first south area has 50,000, the second area has 80,000, the third area. From the current situation, most of the life signatures are moving to the south, but their life signatures aren't high, so it is a feint. There are large amounts of strong life signatures on the west side. Although there aren't as many as the south side, it is still the enemy's main force. I suggest we deploy the heavy weapons to the west and use the ground troops and a few source energy weapons to block the south, immediately. The southern defensive line that suffered the most damage today was the one that suffered the heaviest attack. Cao's main camp was also on the south side. According to normal logic, the attack should be focused on this position. There was something wrong with Chao's army deployment now. They seemed to have placed a large number of troops on this side, but it was just a feint. The main force of the four cities' army was attacking from the west, crossing over 100 miles. Did they want to catch Miracle City off guard? With the second Smart Brain's warning system, this kind of thing would never happen. After Meng Qinggu understood the situation, she still couldn't be optimistic. Can you analyze the success rate of the next wave of attacks based on the current weapons and army situation? Zero was silent for a few seconds before saying, I'm sorry, Vice City Lord. Because the battlefield is too big and there are too many variables, it already surpasses my calculations. Adding in the lack of data on the enemy, I can't give an accurate number. But if we use a rough calculation, I think it's less than 30%. Less than 30%? It wasn't just Meng Qinggu who knit her brows this time, the others all felt very serious. Where is the city lord at this time? Dongfang Haoren was a bit confused. In this kind of critical moment, wasn't it time for Chu Tian to show his usefulness? He should have a way. Meng Qinggu was filled with anger thinking of Chu Tian. This bastard had taken Vivian to the Eternal Forest, but the result was nothing and he even brought Vivian down with him. It was fine if you said that, they just had to think of another way. Who would have thought that after Chu Tian came back, he would hide in the garden and no one knew what he was doing? Miracle City can't hold on, we have to call him out to think of a way no matter what. Just wait, I'll call him. Meng Yingying called Chu Tian's number and was prepared to fiercely reprimand Chu Tian. Who would have thought that before she could say anything, Chu Tian would say a bunch of things first. What did you say? Oh. Wait a bit. Meng Yingying put away the phone and looked at the others with a strange expression. Chu Tian is calling everyone to the garden. Miracle City was already in danger and Chu Tian was calling them to the garden. Meng Yingying explained, Chu Tian said that Miracle City's predicament is about to be solved and the solution is in the garden. He wants us to quickly go and help. Nan Gongyun shouted, what about Miracle City? What if the enemy attacks again? Dongfang Haoren took the initiative to say, me and the great summer marquises have a good understanding of the source energy weapons, so we can temporarily defend the situation. Since the city lord is confident in solving the problem, we should ask everyone to quickly go. They could only do this. Normal people couldn't understand Chu Tian's thoughts, but they trusted Chu Tian and hoped that Chu Tian could do something shocking. Therefore, they gave the command to Dongfang Haoren and the other great summer marquises and they quickly ran to the miracle gardens. Chu Tian's spirit-gathering array had a camouflage effect, so they couldn't see the situation inside from the outside. However, once they entered the barrier, it was like they were in a different world. The spiritual energy in the garden was completely sealed, so it was a place filled with life. Now, it was enveloped by an incomparably vigorous life force. The entire garden was covered in a layer of faint green light. With every breath he took, he could feel pure life force pouring into his body. The life energy here was strong and pure, just like a giant energy field. Even if they were cut by a knife, the terrifying life energy would quickly heal the wound. Chu Tian was standing beside a six-pointed star array. This primitive spatial aura gathering device had been in operation for several days. It was like a squeezer, squeezing out the primitive spatial aura from the space. Since it was in operation, it had squeezed out at least 100 spaces. Several dozen energy columns had been used up. These energy columns were refined from Oldman Small Town's new oil. The total amount of energy could keep Miracle City running for several months, but it had been used up in just a few days. We're about to succeed. We're about to succeed. Sisters, everyone put in a bit more effort. Lulu had led over 100 flower fairies to fight for several days. They looked very tired now, but they were very excited and happy. In the center of the flower fairies, there was a thing floating in the air. It was a bead-sized thing that was completely translucent green, releasing a bright light. The energy in the entire garden was released by this little thing. This. What is this? Nangong Yun stared at the glowing thing with wide eyes, something that can release such a strong life energy, perhaps it's a supreme divine item. Miracle City has this kind of thing, how come I didn't know about it? Meng Qinggu knit her brows as she looked at it for a minute. Large chunks of heavenly book memories appeared in her mind, the Tree of Life Seed, this is a fully activated Tree of Life Seed. The tree ants and flower fairies had asked Chu Tian to help awaken the seed, but the flower fairies were usually in charge of it, so Meng Qinggu had never seen it before. The reason why Meng Qinggu could recognize it was mainly because of her special source spirit. Meng Qinggu's source spirit had countless ancient memories sealed in it. Only when she met the corresponding item would these memories awaken. Meng Qinggu finally understood what Chu Tian wanted to do. Young Miss, Yingying, Nangong, what are you looking at? Chu Tian pulled everyone into the array without any explanation, the Tree of Life has already been activated, now is the best time for it to germinate. We have to lock in the energy for the flower fairies, allowing it to display its greatest effect. This seed's growth is related to Miracle City's future, so whether it succeeds or fails, quickly come over. There was no time to slowly explain. Several people poured their spirit energy into the source energy array under Chu Tian's command, releasing an energy cover around them. After the energy the flower fairies poured into the seed bounced off, it was reflected back when it hit the energy cover. It would not disappear and would continue to be used. The over 100 flower fairies worked together to activate it. The Tree of Life seed absorbed more and more essence and the light became brighter and brighter. The life energy it released was even more vigorous, but this life energy couldn't break through Chu Tian's little barrier. It was completely sealed inside, forming a glass cover filled with a green light. Chu Tian, Meng Qinggu, Meng Yingying, and Nangong Yun were all soaked in this ancient life energy. Although the energy was very strong, this energy did not harm their bodies at all. It could even be absorbed by their bodies, increasing their cultivation bases. After all, this was an ancient Tree of Life seed. Even a single seed could be considered a divine grade seed. Chu Tian could clearly feel his spirit energy growing. The surrounding energy was very rich and if he absorbed it all into his body, it wouldn't be a problem for his cultivation base to increase by several layers. But Chu Tian quickly suppressed this thought. Increasing his cultivation base by several layers was very attractive, but this energy was the key to nurturing the Tree of Life seed. If he absorbed too much, it would affect the seed's germination. His cultivation base could increase at any time. If he missed the Tree of Life, there wouldn't be another one. Time passed like this, second by second. At this time, the sounds of killing filled the sky outside Miracle City. Chao's army launched a wild storm of attacks at Miracle City again. Miracle City's defensive firepower had weakened by quite a bit. Not only did Chao's main army retain their battle strength, they also gathered a large number of forest tribes. Under these waves of attacks, Miracle City was like a small boat struggling in a wild storm. Miracle City can't hold on much longer. Kill, kill. Kill your way in and slaughter them all. The morale of the four cities' army was high and Miracle City's defenders were pushed back again and again. Cao revealed a cold smile. He understood that there was no suspense in this battle. Miracle City's destruction was already a foregone conclusion and the city was destined to turn to ashes. He made a hand signal to the experts beside him led by Kino. When they attacked Miracle City, they would immediately capture all of Miracle City's high-level members and researchers. As for resources, let these brainless fellows steal them. Just as Cao's plan was about to succeed, an unexpected situation occurred. There was a strong fluctuation in the center of Miracle City that spread several hundred miles in the blink of an eye. It was like the earth was breathing. The wind and clouds in the sky changed as lightning flashed and thunder roared. Hong! Several dozen bolts of lightning fell down. They suddenly fell in the center of Miracle City. The second wave. The third wave. The fourth wave. They were baptized by 9 waves of divine lightning. Finally a powerful pressure was released from the center of Miracle City, instantly covering a range of over 1,000 miles. What kind of powerful divine might and power was this? The forest that had been destroyed in the battle was instantly revived and new shoots came out. The wounds of the soldiers were instantly healed, making people feel like they were bathing in a spring breeze. The impact of this power and the range it affected was not something normal people could understand. No matter who saw it, their minds would turn blank and there would only be one thought left. A spiritual god had appeared. That's right, only a spiritual god could have this kind of momentum. Whether it was the dragon palace in the depths of the dragon's ridge, the black dragon sleeping in countless crystals, or the titan standing on top of the giant's palace covered in lightning, or the savage highlands looking down from above, or even the ruler hiding in the darkness underground, or the large characters in the western sea, they were all alarmed by the movements in the center of the forest of chaos. After the great ancient era, why would this kind of power appear? Chapter 975. The Battle Banner City's great commander did not make a single contribution and was annihilated in a single day, not a single one could escape. If the Bramble Flower Town matter could be explained as Miracle City using despicable methods and unknown weapons, what else could they say now? The one who launched the sneak attack was Battle Banner City. Miracle City did not just have a strong offensive ability. They also had a watertight defense. This matter could not be prevented from being spread through the forest. The orc cities did not have any productivity or creativity, they mainly relied on protection fees, extortion, and looting. Now they had suffered 2 consecutive losses, which was a large blow to Battle Banner City. Not only had they lost 2 spirit transformation experts, they had lost all of Battle Banner City's face and their prestige. How could they collect protection fees in the forest? After City Lord Cow learned of this matter, it was like he had disappeared. No one saw him in the city for several days and nights. He didn't come out to pacify the situation or announce a strategy. The discussions in Battle Banner City continued for 3 days before Cow finally appeared again. He announced a general meeting to discuss how to solve the problem in front of them. There's nothing to say. We'll directly fight them to the death. Gather the troops and slaughter all of Miracle City's people. The suppressed rage of Battle Banner City's generals and advisors all erupted at once. This great shame had to be washed away with blood, otherwise how could Battle Banner City continue to stand in the forest? Cow faced the generals who were sharpening their blades, but his attitude was very cold. There was no change in his expression at all as he used his eyes to look at the old troll holding a cane sitting in the first seat on the left. I am also very angry about this matter, but in this special period, everyone must remain calm. This was the troll race's guest official Kino, currently Cow's chief advisor. After the Vice City Lord and the Great Commander were killed, Kino's position in Cow's group had risen and he was now the number 2 person in Battle Banner City. We were defeated because we underestimated Miracle City too much. We can't judge how many cards Miracle City has hidden, so we can't act rashly. Kino, have you been scared out of your wits by Miracle City? Battle Banner City has hundreds of thousands of warriors, would they be afraid of Miracle City? Kino's position in Battle Banner City was already the number 2 person, but as an outsider, it wasn't easy to accept him. Especially in a situation where everyone had different opinions, naturally he would be rejected by these generals. I didn't say we won't fight. Cow ignored the clamoring generals, let Kino speak his opinion. Reporting to the City Lord, Miracle City's momentum has grown and the morale of the people has reached its peak. The surrounding tribes cannot be turned and will only work with Miracle City. Battle Banner City still has a strong army, but even if we ignore the unexpected factors and directly take down Miracle City, there are still 3 large problems with doing this. Nonsense. What's wrong with attacking Miracle City? Are you even someone from Battle Banner City? Kino ignored these brainless boorish people and slowly said, first, from these 2 performances, Miracle City's strength is not weak, this is an indisputable fact. There will be losses under a strong attack and the gains will not make up for the losses. Second, it is impossible for Miracle City to take the initiative and there are many people eyeing this fat piece of meat. The reason these fellows haven't made a move yet is because they are watching from the sidelines, waiting for us to fight with Miracle City and then reap the benefits. How can we satisfy their wishes? Third, Miracle City's City Lord is directly appointed by the Elven King, and Miracle City's Vice City Lord is the Elven King's daughter. If we attack Miracle City, we will inevitably offend this peak Forest of Chaos expert. In summary, using the entire city's strength to fight Miracle City to the death is not rational. We must change our strategy. The orc generals were all filled with righteous indignation. But thinking about it, Kino's words weren't without reason. Kao softly asked, "Do you have a solution?" Kino cupped his hands. Our first non-war method was to pressure Miracle City to side with Battle Banner City. Now that this strategy has been declared a failure, we can't solve this problem without a large-scale battle, so we must fight, but we must make a special plan. Since they had to fight, how should they fight? This one thinks that in the current situation, it is better to share it with many than to swallow it all. Kino slowly explained, there are many powers eyeing Miracle City in this forest, so rather than waiting for both sides to be heavily injured and waiting for them to reap the benefits, we should use this chance to unite all the powers and attack Miracle City together, sharing the benefits together. Doing this will reduce our losses and increase our chances of victory, as well as avoiding future worries. Kao closed his eyes. How do we divide it? Cities and powers allying together, this wasn't strange in Miracle City. The problem was that everyone had their own plans and wanted to obtain more benefits, so it was very difficult to divide it evenly. The city, treasures, resources, and source stones, we don't want them, let them fight for them. Kino slowly said, we'll use the name of revenge to steal large amounts of people, seizing the chance to capture Miracle City's City Lord Chu Tian and the production and research staff. The large cities in the forest don't know Miracle City's true value, only seeing the superficial benefits. Let them fight for these treasures and land. We'll throw away these hot potatoes and we'll avoid quite a bit of trouble and conflict. We'll also obtain benefits that everyone won't be greedy for. In the future, when Miracle City's technology will all be used by Battle Banner City, it will already be too late for them to find out. The orcs looked at each other in blank dismay. How could there be such a thing as taking over a city and not taking anything but people? All right. Kao opened his eyes and a glow flashed in his eyes. I'll leave this matter to you. I want to see the results as soon as possible. I won't disappoint the city lord's expectations. Kino left Battle Banner City to visit the nearby cities as an envoy. An explosive piece of news appeared in the Forest of Chaos. In the Winged Race's Cloud Peak City, 100,000 winged race warriors moved out. They were like a gray cloud that covered the sky as they charged towards Battle Banner City. In the Green Giant Race's Emerald City, 100,000 green giants passed through the mountains, crushing countless trees and forests along the way. They were like bulldozers as they charged towards Battle Banner City. Other than that, there was news that a spirit insect underground city in the underground world had actually sent out 100,000 spider race spirit insect army under the orders of a spider to gather in Battle Banner City. When these abnormal signals gathered together, there was a message that a war was about to erupt in the forest. The power behind the Winged Race's Cloud Peak City was the Dragon's Ridge. The power behind the Green Giant's Emerald City was the Giant Mountain Range. The underground races were the subordinates of the mysterious Spider Queen. In other words, other than the Sea Race in the Western Sea and the Elves in the Eternal Forest, almost all the superpowers in the Forest of Chaos had gathered together, clearly pointing their spears at Miracle City. Of the 4 allied cities, other than the underground world's spirit insects that were relatively mysterious and not known to many people, the other 3 cities were large cities with considerable weight in the center of the Forest of Chaos. Even if Miracle City faced any one of them alone, they wouldn't have a high chance of winning, not to mention the 4 cities working together. After a few days, outside Battle Banner City, an army of several 100,000 spread out over several miles. The winged race looked similar to humans, only they had a pair of giant bird wings. They were a rare flying race, being born with the ability to fly. The 100,000 winged race could completely suppress Miracle City's weak air force, destroying Miracle City's facilities and defense system from the air. The green giants were a subspecies of the giant race. They were muscular and had dark green bodies. They were over 3 meters tall and their bodies were not inferior to the ogres or minotaurs. Their skin and flesh were hard to penetrate and they had boundless strength, comparable to berserkers. The 100,000 green giants attacking at the same time, this kind of terrifying scene was hard for normal people to imagine. The battle strength of the spider soldiers was not weak. They were good at using poison, making traps, and had very strong scouting abilities. They were especially good at digging tunnels, having the ability to attack enemies with earth spikes and earthquakes. It was hard to defend against them and they were very cunning. Finally there was the orc army of Battle Banner City. The orcs were very brave and they were definitely the core battle strength of the battlefield. The alliance this time covered the sky, the ground, and the ground. The battle strength gathered was definitely overwhelming and Miracle City could not resist at all. The Wings race leader directly announced, "We want Miracle City's source stones and materials." The Green Giant leader said, "Miracle City's city belongs to our Jadeite city." The Spider race leader said, "The Spider race is interested in the mines and Miracle City's underground research facility." Good, good. Everyone has come from afar, of course I won't let you suffer a loss. Cow raised his wine cup high up and loudly said, "Let us drink this wine together and destroy Miracle City in one fell swoop, erasing them from the map of the Forest of Chaos." Good, we'll destroy Miracle City. Make those damn humans scram out of the forest. The leaders saw that Battle Banner City did not fight for benefits and they were all very surprised. It was probably because Battle Banner City had suffered 2 losses at Miracle City's hands, so benefits were not important to Battle Banner City anymore. The most important thing was to destroy Miracle City as soon as possible to restore their face. The 4 cities' allied army was officially formed. This cooperation had a momentum that hadn't been heard of in 100 years. The native tribes in the forest that were wavering all sided with the allied army without any suspense. There was no other way. Although Battle Banner City was cruel, the allied army was too strong. These 4 cities were first-rate cities in the center of the Forest of Chaos, with experts like Clouds and powerful armies. Green City could only be considered second or third-rate. Even if it was renamed Miracle City and Chu Tian's group took over, what could they change in such a short period of time? Even if they brought out all the source energy weapons, Miracle City's small army couldn't stop the elite armies of the 4 cities. Miracle City would definitely lose this battle. Because in front of this overwhelming strength, Miracle City did not have any allies and the Eternal Forest would not help them, so it was futile no matter what they did. Countless forest bandits and natives were forced to join in, and their numbers numbered in the hundreds of thousands. Like this, all the large and small powers in the area were pointing their swords at Miracle City. This was an unprecedented crisis.